Part 22. Restarting the Myth. Author, Feng Chao Huang. Chapter 211. Villa. A team of maids left the main gate with tools and garbage bags, talking and laughing. Wayne looked over and saw that the tools were ladders, scissors, and unused decorative items. The garbage bags were clean, with no blood-stained work clothes or gloves, and even dead heads. Very good, I hope there won't be any later. Wayne shook his head. The maids of the Landau family were hard to describe in terms of appearance. It might be that old Deng realized that he had a bad reputation outside and was very picky about the maids' figures and appearance. Of course, it is more likely that these maids were personally selected by the mistress He. Old Deng's position on the balcony is evident. Wayne walked slowly towards the gate of the villa. It took him 5 minutes to walk a few dozen meters, and he stopped from time to check the growth of the lawn. Simulation, analysis, and a sea of questions. Develop emergency plans based on various emergencies, expand from Planet to Plan 3.1.0, and apply a bunch of patches. After some operations, I feel that there is nothing to be afraid of. Damn bastard, I'll kill you sooner or later. Wayne got angrier and angrier as he thought about it. He pushed open the door while cursing, indicating that this matter was not over. You all saw it? It was Austin who started it. In the living room on the first floor, the birthday party venue was decorated. The words "Happy Birthday" were spelled out on the wall with balloons, ribbons, and bouquets. There were neatly stacked gift boxes on both sides. In the center of the venue, the 3-layer cake was covered with colorful cream and fruits. Veronica and Willie stood beside the cake. I don't know what happened. Veronica was scolding Willie. As usual, there was nothing wrong. There were not many people present. As Austin said, they were all female friends who had booked the cinema. The two heads with short golden hair were He and Megan, the two heads with long golden hair were Veronica and Willie, and the platinum and brown hair mixed in were Chris and Mona respectively. That's it? Wayne looked around, and the party killer Philomena was not there. The high priest was so miserable. Wayne felt sorry for Philomena for 3 seconds. They were all here, but she didn't come. Obviously, she didn't receive the notice. She had unlocked the most achievements, but she didn't even get to share a table with her boyfriend on his birthday. Rounding it off, she is still an honest person. Le.jpg. Wayne felt sorry for Philomena and gave a thumbs up to FLA. If it weren't for the housekeepers planning and clearing up the big trouble in advance, he would have died or lost a layer of skin today. As for the birthday party in front of him, FLA can't be blamed. He is already very good. Who would have thought that Austin, the old bastard, would interfere? Anyway, Wayne didn't think that Austin would help him hold a birthday party. Wayne, come here. Sifty waved her hand, opened a treasure box, and put the crown of the birthday party host on the student's head. A real crown, not made of paper. It is woven with gold thread and gold wire, and the front is inlaid with colorful gems. The gem-cutting craftsmanship is exquisite, and each gem has been carefully polished. After Wayne put it on, his temperament was unique and he immediately looked very handsome. Wayne, Willie ate your cake and ate your name. Veronica raised her hand and explained the reason why she scolded Willie. Wayne was not surprised at all. Seeing that Chris was about to say something, he interrupted directly, "It's my birthday today, let me say a few words first. At first I didn't plan to celebrate my birthday, I was going to give someone in the field a surprise. I won't tell you who it is, she knows it in her heart. X6. Who is it? Is it me? X4. In the end, someone pretended to be me and invited you all to the birthday party, which ruined her surprise. Having said that, thank you all for coming. Just now, when I was standing at the door, my heart was pounding and my eyes were red. Wayne adjusted the crown on his head. Since I'm here, as the king tonight, I have absolute control. Mona, I have charcoal pencils for sketching in my study. Please bring them to me. Mona nodded. When she went upstairs, she heard a telepathic message in her ear. She had prepared a surprise for her, but now it's gone. I'll make it up another day. After solving a small hidden danger, Wayne took the charcoal pencil, looked at the 6 sheets of drawing paper in front of him, and touched his chin. What should I draw? After a moment of hesitation, Wayne drew 6 small mustaches on Chris's face. When he first met her, the senior sister was the black cat Monica, which impressed him deeply. He still feels bad because he didn't play the little bell. Willie got a small sun, Veronica got a mushroom, and Mona got a cross. I thought it was over, but Healy came over with a smile, pointed at her smooth forehead, and asked the king to stamp her. Teacher, please stop making trouble. Wayne thought so, and quickly sketched an abstract sketch, blackening Healy's entire face. Human face sketch, simplified Austin. Because Austin was black, the sketch was also a big black face. Wayne said helplessly, Teacher, Austin just gave me a gift, very pleasantly surprised, I couldn't refuse, this is his intention, if there is any offense, there will be a head for the grievance, and I am just a person who does things. Healy's face was black, and she silently stepped aside to wipe her face with a handkerchief. Seeing her silent appearance, it can be imagined that someone is going to fly to the grove tonight. First, I'll get back some interest, and I'll compete with you another day. Wayne thought bitterly, holding a charcoal pencil and looking at Megan. Megan, do you want the king's seal? Megan shook her head expressionlessly. She didn't want to get involved in the personal grudges between 2 generations of social scum. If possible, she asked the king to approve her to leave immediately. How can this be done? Austin's wife has the seal, and his lover can't be left behind. I'm fair in my work. X6. The air suddenly became heavy. Wayne wanted to disgust Austin whenever he got the chance. He was fair and willing to give Austin a chance to explain. As for Austin not coming, it was none of his business. Swish. Megan's face turned black. She stepped aside and wiped her face at the same time as Sci-fi. When it came to the gift-giving part, Willie rushed to the first one and came to Wayne with a gift. Wayne, I prepared 2 gifts today, and one is mine. Oh my God, this is a slide that can't be touched. There is another gift I can guess. It's a surprise. I like it very much. Wayne interrupted and saw Willie's disappointment. He clenched his fist and coughed twice, pointing at his face and said, as the king, I force you to leave a seal for me. Willie smiled and was very brave. She hugged Wayne's neck and stamped his face. Then it was Mona, still calm. When it was Chris's turn, the senior student rolled her eyes at Wayne. She didn't expose it. She disliked that Wayne had been kissed on both sides of his face, so she gently tapped his forehead. The last one was Veronica. She held the gift and refused to obey the king's order. Sifty stood aside with her head tilted. She found that her students were very popular. In her eyes, Willie and Mona had basically revealed their cards and stopped acting. Chris was introverted and acted a little. Her daughter. It's better not to mention it. She couldn't stand it. No, she had to push. Veronica, if you don't want to, just kiss her on the forehead. It's normal between friends. No one will feel offended. The forehead is not okay either. It's too intimate. This is the king's order. How about, I do it for you? Hyphy raised her eyebrows, and was ready to do it. Seeing this, Veronica hurriedly protected her behind her and looked. Wayne, W. Veronica. Seeing this familiar expression, she was no longer shy. Not only that, her fists were itching. Go on, what's the use of just watching? Go on. Hyphy was so anxious that her feet softened and she bumped into Veronica with her shoulder. Oops, my feet slipped. Although her acting skills were poor, she achieved her goal. She took advantage of Veronica's unpreparedness and succeeded in a sneak attack. Veronica was attacked from behind and rushed towards Wayne. Seeing the face of the social scum getting closer and closer, she was so scared that she closed her eyes directly. Wayne took a step back, held her in his arms, tilted his head and looked at Sci-fi. "Teacher, is your foot not sprained?" As he said that, regardless of Sci-fi's helpless face, he said to Veronica, "It's okay to hug. I know you are shy, so you have stamped it?" Veronica pushed Wayne away with a red face, and complained to Sci-fi in shame and anger, saying that her foot slipped. It was obviously intentional. How could there be such a mother? She came to the window alone, gritting her teeth and looking out the window. This child, 9 out of 10 will be single for life. Sci-fi sighed and lamented. There were a bunch of strong people standing around Wayne like wolves and tigers. The environment was so bad that she could not see any possibility of victory for her daughter. She thought it was necessary to talk to Austin about the engagement. While it was still time, she quickly tied him up with the engagement. It would be too late, and the student she raised would run away with him. "Asshole, you don't want the family heir to change jobs, do you?" Chris stared at Sci-fi in amazement, horrified by the bottom line of the upper class. They were half-siblings, but their stepmother was still trying to match them up. Is the Church of Nature so open, no, so perverted? As a high priest, the innocent Philomena shines with brilliance. Her image is infinitely elevated in Chris's heart, and her whole body is glowing. The King Seal is limited to 4 pieces, and Sci-fi and Megan are definitely out of the game. The two received their own cakes, participated in 2 birthday activities, and left on their own. Without 2 outsiders, Wayne's birthday activities immediately became more expensive. He went to the wine cellar to move red wine and vowed to get drunk tonight. Willie fell first, followed by Mona, and then Chris. The order and gift-giving process were exactly the same. Veronica has an amazing alcohol tolerance and refuses to get drunk no matter what. Come to think of it, it's right. The essence of life is here. It's not so easy to get drunk. The same was true for the 3 who fell down first. It was hard to tell whether they were really drunk or pretending to be drunk. "Veronica, I'll help them go to the room to rest first, so they won't catch a cold." "I'll fight you later." Wayne put down the red wine glass, stood up and held Willie in his arms. "I'll do this, you go help the senior." Veronica snatched Willie away. She was 99% sure that Willie was pretending to be drunk. It was too dangerous. The 2 of them couldn't be left alone, otherwise Willie would definitely take the opportunity to give away the second gift. The senior was not afraid. There was only one gift for Bayou Egwang. After saying that, no matter how Wayne behaved, he picked up Willie and rushed upstairs. Wayne shrugged. He laughed at Veronica's recklessness and Willie's lack of wisdom. If the senior didn't win, it would be unjust. He held Princess Chris in his arms. The latter murmured and reached out to hug his neck. When they got to the room, Wayne closed the door and put Chris on the bed. The latter slowly opened her eyes and the 2 heads leaned against each other. Slippery tongue. The kiss ended, leaving endless aftertaste. Chris squinted. "What's wrong with Ms. Healy? She is trying to match you and Veronica, did I see it wrong?" "She has been trying to match you up." "Is there anything wrong with a teacher trying to match a student with his daughter?" Wayne lowered his head and buried his head in the gentle land. "No, you and Veronica are siblings, she shouldn't do this." "Senior, where did you hear the rumor from?" "Oh, you are from the Moonlight Church, that's fine." Wayne felt that Chris must have misunderstood something, and was struggling whether to explain it clearly. With their current relationship, it would be good for him to keep it secret, but it would be unfair to Chris. He accepted the free gift, but did not accept the free gift of the silly husband. What's the difference between that and cheating on someone's body? He also wants that heart. Actually, Veronica was picked up. Ah. Wayne raised his head suddenly. What did you say? Who was picked up? Veronica, although it's incredible, but you and Mr. Landau are too similar. In comparison, Veronica is. Chris lowered her voice. Veronica is her best friend, and she still admires her. She doesn't want to point fingers at Veronica behind her back. Wayne had a toothache. Chris, use your clever little brain. Is there a possibility that I was picked up? Well, illegitimate children are like this. Wayne was silent. Chris hugged him in her arms. Don't worry, I won't spread rumors about Veronica. She is a good girl and shouldn't be pointed at by others, but since you are not related by blood, she is my competitor. I will use my strength to make her withdraw voluntarily. You have the strength, but your eyesight is not very good. Wayne said according to his conscience, I am very serious. Veronica has the blood of the Landau family, 100%, she is not picked up. I became the heir because Veronica is not suitable for managing the family, there is no engagement at present. I am called the young master because of the relationship between teacher and student. Do you understand? Wayne decided to be a scumbag. Chris is gentle and kind, and Wayne doesn't want her to be given away for nothing. Similarly, since he has grasped this conscience, he has no intention of letting go. I understand. Chris smiled and nodded, grabbed Wayne's hand and interlocked his fingers. Bad guy, you have provoked so many girls, you have to promise me that you can't make Veronica and Willie sad. Big sister, do you really understand? Wayne complained in his heart and complained, I listen to you, I can't make them sad, only your heart will be hurt. After that, he lowered his head and kissed her. Living room, birthday party venue. Veronica tilted her head and looked at Wayne. Why did it take so long? I sent 2 people up. Did you do something to the senior sister secretly? Well, I kissed her several times while she was drunk, Wayne said truthfully. Veronica pouted. It was not so easy to lie to her, tell the truth. The senior sister felt a little uncomfortable. Maybe she drank too much. That's more like it. Wayne was deeply convinced. In this impetuous society, people don't believe the truth, but only want to believe what they want to see. Veronica is like this, and Chris is also like this. He would like to call it arrogance among the 7 deadly sins. In addition, as a scumbag, he actively encourages and hopes that there will be more and more arrogant girls like this. Come here, I must beat you tonight. Veronica picked up the red wine and wanted to start the final with Wayne. The two sat cross-legged on the carpet. There was no rock paper scissors entertainment program. It was a round-based system. Each person had a bottle. The one who sat to the end won. 10 minutes later, Wayne was drunk and fell down dizzy, just falling on Veronica's legs. He hummed twice, arched his head and changed to a comfortable position. He fell asleep. Don't play dead, I know you're not drunk. Veronica was very dissatisfied. Referring to her own life essence and the fact that Wayne didn't lose when sparring with her, she was very clear-headed and Wayne couldn't be drunk. I'm talking to you. If you don't wake up, I will exercise the power of the king. Veronica warned for the first time and picked up the charcoal to draw. Wayne fell asleep and didn't respond. Veronica warned him 3 times in a row without any result, and drew a cup on Wayne's face. According to her, this is a trash can. Hey, is he really drunk? It's impossible. Veronica pinched her nose, then pulled her hair, and helped Wayne up and dragged him upstairs with doubt. After sending them to the bedroom, Veronica looked down at Wayne lying on the bed. For some reason, she didn't leave immediately. Thinking of the unfinished seal, she swallowed carefully. Senior and Willie have kissed each other, I can't lose to them. After a self-comforting speech, Veronica mustered up the courage to lower her head, tremblingly closed her eyelashes, and landed on Wayne's head like a dragonfly. Then, Wayne, W. Veronica. The young lady blushed so much that she was fuming. She was so ashamed and angry that she grabbed the collar of the social scum and let him fly out of the window. Boom. With the sound of broken glass, Wayne went to the grove to hug a tree. The perpetrator was panicking and jumped out of the window and ran to his villa. He covered his face with his hands because he was too embarrassed to see anyone. Upstairs, Austin stood by the window of the study, looking at this scene, and the corners of his mouth stiffened. Why is it like this? As social scum, Austin knew that Wayne could not be defeated at all, but in any case, the result should not have turned out like this. What happened to women who are jealous? Are they so easily fooled by social scum? Austin looked envious, no, angry. He suspected that Wayne used mental pollution, otherwise there would be no explanation. Master, the Ministry of Magic called, the highest order, requiring you to go to the Ministry of Magic headquarters now. Megan walked into the study. The highest order. Austin was shocked. The highest order can only be issued by the minister. The last time he received an order of the same level was when the Church of Nature encircled and suppressed the Dark Knight. What happened? Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 212. Wayne fell into the woods, hugged the tree accurately, and saw a black limousine driving out of the gate of the manor from a distance. The exclusive bulletproof car is Alston. Why are you going out so late at night to make your wife angry? Wayne was curious about Austin's suspicious behavior and suspected that he and Megan were secretly dating. He silently wrote down the incident and prepared to report it to Hepe the next day. Forget it tonight, there is still a miserable woman waiting for him. Philomena. But forgetting her birthday, leaving the high priest alone after it passed, Wayne couldn't help but feel sorry for her just thinking about it. While it's still early in the morning and it's not yet early in the morning, I'll go there to comfort you on my birthday. When Wayne arrived at the manor, the twins had already changed into their pajamas, and walked into the high priest's bedroom with evil eyebrows staring at the pretty boy. Why are you here? Philomena is applying a facial mask. She is very knowledgeable about beauty care and has a homemade facial mask formula. Falling in love makes people young, but it also makes people worry about gains and losses. The high priest put a lot of effort into making himself look younger. I can't come see you if I have nothing to do. What's so bad about it? I didn't mean it that way. Philomena put on her nightgown and hugged her little boyfriend happily. Assuming you have a conscience, you are not allowed to run around tonight. Well, today has a different meaning. It's my birthday. Ah, is it really your birthday? Philomena was shocked. She investigated Wayne's information and found out that January 11th was his birthday, so she made a special trip to make an appointment in advance. Because the fake birthday that Fula told her illegitimate child was not true, she didn't take it to heart. I'm so busy right now that I haven't even prepared a gift. Will he think I don't care about him? Philomena was panicking when she suddenly rolled her eyes and lay on Wayne's shoulder and said, Today is your birthday, which is very commemorative. I have a gift that I have prepared for you for 18 years. It's still not until midnight, 2 hours, leave it to you now. The charming eyes are like silk, brushed silk. What 18 years, a fraction of 18 years. Wayne couldn't complain, so he picked up Philomena and walked to the bathroom. Don't rush this gift, let it brew for a while. I like antiques, and the vicissitudes of history can increase in value after being stored for a long time. Bah, who are you talking about being an antique? Speaking of which, how long are you going to wait to be promoted to legendary mage? I'm not in a hurry, why are you in a hurry? Philomena stood in the bathroom, enjoying her little boyfriend undressing her. The intoxicated look in her eyes made her particularly satisfied. Your assistance is very good. I still have potential to tap into my life essence. I don't have to rush to advance. Lay the foundation well. You're already a golden mage, but you still have basic skills. We are just getting started with higher levels of life. It makes sense. Let me take a look and see how strong your life essence is. Bang bang bang. The next day, there was a knock on the bedroom door, and the voice of one of the twins was heard. Wayne woke up next to Philomena and remembered clearly that the voice he heard was that of Deed, the twin who had lost his arm last time. Can't be wrong. Verna knocked on the door. High Priest, are you awake? Philomena opened her eyes, hugged Wayne, and kissed her. Her long hair fell down her shoulders, and the fragrance was refreshing, giving Wayne a lingering feminine scent. High Priest. What's the matter, Verna? A string of question marks floated across Wayne's head, suspecting that Philomena had remembered the twins' identities incorrectly. She has big breasts, so I won't argue. Mr. Wayne's housekeeper called. I have something urgent to see him. It's urgent. After Verna finished speaking, she heard the sound of something falling to the ground in the room. She curled her lips, took 2 steps back and stood aside. Within 3 seconds, Wayne was in a hurry, holding up his pants and walking out. While buttoning his shirt, he walked towards the living room. Died, what does Fula want from me? I am not a sister, please admit it right once, even just once. Verna sighed helplessly and said, Mr. Wayne, the phone hasn't been hung up yet. The housekeeper is waiting for you. He didn't say anything specific. As he spoke, Wayne walked up the stairs to the living room on the first floor. Verna closed the bedroom door and glanced out of the corner of her eye. She saw that the high priest was naked, and his lazy posture of stretching was particularly charming. The charm of the high priest kills both men and women, and Verna can't help but her heart beats faster. When she thinks about the pretty girl just now, she pouts in dissatisfaction. Such a beautiful lady took advantage of the pretty girl, and she felt deeply unworthy of the high priest. Okay, I understand, let's go to Landau Manor. Wayne put down the phone and walked into the basement and into the sewer. His limbs were spread out and covered with death, and the scent on his body was wiped out. Austin went to the Ministry of Magic for a meeting last night and went to the Queen's holiday estate for field investigation in the middle of the night. He didn't sleep a wink all night. He didn't find Wayne at home in the morning and called Wayne House directly. When Fola heard that Wayne was not at Landau Manor and there was no one at home, he immediately said that Wayne was at home and would ask him to rush to Landau Manor as quickly as possible. Landau Manor. Wayne got out of the sewer, went through the underground passage to identify his identity and came to his villa. He transformed into a Death Knight halfway and used the portal to rush on his way, perfectly and effectively managing time. God. In the study, Austin looked at his watch and waited until Wayne arrived at the last second of the countdown. He frowned and said, You had so many friends in the house last night, why did you go home? I've already said that we're friends, and they just happen to be women. Don't always look at me with tinted glasses. Wayne was righteous. He could not care about his reputation, but Chris, Willie, and Mona were all good girls, and he would not allow Austin to talk nonsense. Megan. Haha, this kind of talk can only deceive women. Tell me the truth, do you have other women at home? Okay, you said the teacher was stupid and fooled by my simple appearance. He really thought I was a good student. Wait, I will tell the teacher later and convey your evaluation truthfully. Wayne interrupted directly. Austin's face darkened. Sci-fi was indeed not very smart. She actually proposed to him yesterday. He was so eager to push his daughter into the pit. Can't you think about yourself back then? He didn't remember any lessons. Yeah, you can't say anything. Don't gossip in front of me. You can say it, and I can say it too. In the end, you are the only one who will suffer. Austin said unhappily, Don't waste your time. Something happened to the Queen. What happened? Wayne's face became serious, and he asked tentatively, I saw you rushing out last night. Is the Queen in poor health? The Queen is in good health. She is full of energy when scolding people. It is not a problem to live another 100 years. Princess Elizabeth is so pitiful. She has to wait another 100 years. Wayne was happy when he said this. God has a way of reincarnation. No one can be spared by heaven. That person, someone has avenged you. Stop talking nonsense. I'm talking. Listen to me. Don't interrupt me. Austin pinched the ancient silver coin hard. Inadvertently, the topic was diverted by the small trash can. Wayne shut up decisively. Austin took a deep breath and said, there is a royal autonomous town west of London called Windsor, less than 40 kilometers away from Buckingham Palace. The Queen often goes to Windsor Castle for vacation on weekends. Just last night, Windsor Castle was attacked by unknown people. The Holy Light Knights guarding the castle suffered heavy losses, and St. George's Church was looted. Wait a minute. Wayne interrupted directly, there is a Church of the Heavenly Father Church in Windsor Castle, and there is also a team of Holy Light Knights. Did I hear it wrong, or did you say it wrong? Both are correct. The royal family tried to divide the Heavenly Father Church. Although it did not succeed, it also achieved some results. Austin said, if you think it is unreasonable, you can regard the members of the Knights as free mages. They are loyal to the royal family, and the Knights are also from the Tulip family. Wayne suddenly realized that he knew this history, but he did not expect the Windsor royal family to be so tough and really incorporated the Holy Light faith into the Free Mage Alliance. St. George's Church has treasures collected by the Queen, each of which is priceless. The Queen was furious and ordered the Ministry of Magic to investigate the matter thoroughly. Just treasures? Wayne expressed disbelief. If it was just treasures, the Windsor royal family was rich and powerful, and the Queen would not be so angry. Instead, she would take the opportunity to settle accounts. So, the lost things must be not simple. Austin closed his eyes and said after a while, although the Queen did not say it clearly, several senior officials of the Ministry of Magic guessed that the 7 Demon King containers prepared by the royal family were stolen, and the 7 containers guarded by the Holy Light Knights were all taken away without a single one left. Hiss hiss hiss. Bar Book 69 New. Wayne took a breath of cold air. Although Austin had reminded him, he couldn't help but feel numb when he really confirmed this. The royal family has a deal with the devil and has been acquainted with hell many years ago. He spoke quickly, who is so bold? Is he from the Church of the Heavenly Father? No, judging from the traces left at the scene and what the Knight Commander Herman said, the intruder is a devil from hell. Austin glanced at Wayne. The 2 devils you mentioned did not fight the Death Knight to death. One of them attacked Windsor Castle and stood on the opposite side of the Ministry of Magic. Why is this so? Wayne was puzzled. I can understand that the devil does not cause trouble for the Death Knight. He cannot beat the Death Knight in the world. In this case, the devil should join forces with the Ministry of Magic, promise benefits to seduce the legendary wizard, and what good will it do to go against the royal family? One enemy is not enough, and they want to attract hatred and provoke another enemy. Are all devils so brave? Or are they afraid that they will not die quickly enough and just want to go to hell as soon as possible? No one knows what the devil is thinking. He may be using the container to threaten the royal family. It is reasonable that the container of the 7 devils can be used as a trump card, but it cannot be exposed. Once the news of the deal between the royal family and the devil spreads, the royal family will be very passive, Austin said with a gloomy face. Passivity comes from the international situation. Windsor has always been a bad person. The strategic operation of offshore checks and balances has disgusted other countries. 9 out of 10 places are beating gongs. Other countries, such as France, which has a century-old friendship, will definitely stand firm on the moral high ground at the first time and output madly to Windsor. The international situation is only one aspect. The real terrible pressure comes from the Holy See of the Father. Austen can imagine how happy the Pope will laugh when he learns about this. Listening to Austen's analysis of the interests, Wayne shook his head again and again. Some things are not weighed on the scale, and they can't be stopped even if they are weighed on the scale. He smiled bitterly and said, "The royal family shot themselves in the foot. Although the news has not spread, the legendary wizards all know about it. From now on, London, no, Windsor will be in chaos." According to the nature of the legendary wizards, the royal family secretly raised the vessels of the 7 demon kings. They could not make it public and only dared to study them secretly. Now that the royal family is experiencing a thunderstorm, the legendary mage has no worries and is not afraid of being caught. The emperor is guilty of the same crime as the common people and the queen is not punished, so they are innocent. Le.jpg. It was quite fun, but Wayne couldn't get over it. He sat across from Austen with a frown on his face, as if he was looking into a mirror with only an ancient silver coin missing. "We'll talk about the future later, the key is now." Austen described the Queen's minister's handling method, eliminating the 7 containers together with the thieves, releasing the news to the Death Church, and contacting the Death Knight as soon as possible. The Queen did not clarify the fact that the 7 containers existed, and the meaning was self-evident. She knew that the legendary mages would not do their best for their own benefit, so she wanted to cooperate with the Death Knight. At the same time, the Tulip Knights, who were truly loyal to the Queen, joined forces to kill the thieves. "The Holy See will definitely notice such a big move, is that okay? So be quick," Austen said, "because I previously provided information about the battle between the Death Knight and the Devil. The Queen gave me a task to contact the Death Knight." "Ah, this." Wayne blinked. "I heard that the Death Knight has a bad temper and is quick to kick people's butts. If you come to negotiate terms, what if he threatens you?" "So I decided to give the task to you." Austen said. "It was outsourcing." "It can't be called outsourcing. Internally, Wayne is the heir to the Landau family. Externally, Wayne is the eldest son who inherited his father's legacy. How can it be called outsourcing when a son pays his father's debt? I'm going to find the Death Knight, and I see that you clearly want me to die." Wayne's voice rose and his head shook like a rattle. He loved so-and-so, but he wasn't going to see the Death Knight anyway. "Then let Veronica go." "Ha, you can't bear it?" Austen was really reluctant to give up. He had failed and was unwilling to face the Death Knight. He gritted his teeth and said, "You provided the information. If you hadn't been so talkative, I wouldn't have told the Queen. In the final analysis, it's you who caused the trouble. I'm here to protect the citizens of London and let the Ministry of Magic take precautions in advance." Wayne snorted. He didn't care, the Death Knight must kick Austen's ass hard. "You can ask your secretary to find the Death Knight." "No, Mona is from the Holy See. Telling her would be equivalent to directly informing the Papal State." Wayne said with a straight face, "When the Pope comes to Windsor for a friendly visit, the Queen will blame you, kid. Father-in-law, you are going to die. We, the Landau family, have to hide in the snow. For the sake of the family, you go see the Death Knight." Wayne straightened his head and said, "Don't you always teach me that the interests of the family are above all else? Why are you so timid when it's your turn? That's a Death Knight after all." Austen gritted his teeth and said firmly, "It's obvious that your secretary is deeply devoted to you. I'll take a step back. No matter how deeply entangled you are with her in the future, I will pretend not to see you. Take her and let her be free, mage, let her go see the Death Knight." "Are you so afraid of the Death Knight?" Wayne was full of questions. He felt that the Death Knight was easy to talk to, and he was humble and difficult to fight. Austen could complete the task as long as he sacrificed his butt. "Very good, Duck. Aren't you afraid?" "That's right. The two of them stared at each other for a while, and after a while, Austin said, "How about it, are you sure you can win your secretary? She has firm beliefs and is willing to do anything for her beliefs. I can't defeat her in a short time." Wayne shook his head and sighed, "To tell you the truth, she is still a pure nun, and I have not had a relationship with her. Trash, you can't even deal with a woman." "Hey, I have such a bad temper." Wayne rolled his eyes and hummed, "I have a general understanding of the Landau family's situation. It's not a big problem to change from heir to head of the family. You can feel free to go see the Death Knight, and I will handle the rest. Also, in honor of your sacrifice to the family, Veronica's son will be named Austin, Austin Landau Jr. You still want to beat me up?" Austin shook the ancient silver coins hard several times and regretted not filling the small trash can in the river earlier. He ended the conversation and prepared to meet the Death Knight himself. "Take Megan." "Austin, good luck to you." Wayne waved his hand and watched Austin leave the study. He contacted ABO through the Book of Greed and stayed at Dawn Detective Agency tonight. "A distinguished guest is coming. Take him to the Western District Cemetery. He will warmly entertain this distinguished guest. Should I kick such a nice butt with my left foot or my right foot? Flying and kicking with both feet is also good. Otherwise, Yulia comes to kick, the horse's hoof is very powerful. Ja. Wayne stood at the study window, imitating Austin with one hand behind his back. Standing in this position, the view of Landau Manor was incredibly beautiful. The hearty laughter lasted for 5 minutes. "Why are you giggling here?" Austin returned to the study with a dark face. "I'm happy, I thought of something happy," Wayne said cheerfully, "my fiancée is pregnant." Snort. Austin snorted coldly, "Don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. I can't die tonight, and you can't be the head of the family." Wayne shrugged and decided to wait until tonight. "I just received a call from the Ministry of Magic." Austin's face was terribly gloomy. "Last night, the Queen summoned the Ministry of Magic's top brass to discuss the attack on Windsor Castle. Several top brass were present at the scene, and all the legendary wizards also arrived. Just now, 2 legendary wizards brought bad news that their branch was attacked." Wayne's body was shocked. 2 demons joined forces to make a feint to the east and attack the west. They came to London not for the Death Knight, but for the Ministry of Magic. "It's not clear yet." Austin said, "The Red Leaf Forest Lunatic Asylum was attacked. The intruders were very clever and did not trigger the alarm. Dean Plank's office was looted, and a large number of patient files were lost. Some patients are missing. According to Plank, in addition to files and patients, there are many precious props of the Ministry of Magic. Considering the possibility of settling accounts, the Queen ignored Plank. In addition, the secret branch where Bond was located was also stolen, and the loss on his side was even more terrible." Austin held the ancient silver coin tightly. "There is a traitor in the Ministry of Magic, and someone provided accurate information to the devil. The Queen ordered that the Death Knight be pulled onto the chariot at all costs. Then you are in trouble. Oh, for the sake of the goddess of death, old man, I swear, the Death Knight will kick your ass hard tonight." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 213. Night. The fog is thin and the stars are sparse. Commercial Street, Dawn Detective Agency. The headlights of the cars approached from far away, tearing through the dullness of the darkness, and a black luxury car stopped in front of the detective agency. Megan parked the car and got off the driver's seat, opened the back door, and Austin walked out holding the ancient silver coin, looking at the dead silent detective agency, with no expression on his face. "Master, there is a life form in the detective agency, not a living thing," Megan said. The creation of the Undead Knight. He was a police officer of London before his death, named Beau Philip. Austen told the information at hand. There is a lot of information about the Death Knight, but also very little. Most of it comes from Paris, who is notorious and is the nightmare of the Life Alliance. In London, the Death Knight is very low-key, living in seclusion and only developing one base, the well-known Dawn Detective Agency. To be precise, there are 5 bases, 5 major districts of London, each of which has a Dawn Detective Agency and a supporting law firm. That night, the Death Knight explained his purpose to several churches and the Ministry of Magic. He came to Lendham for only 3 things: fairness, fairness, and fairness. Everyone was confused and chose to wait and see. They kept watching until now. The reason was that the Death Knight was extremely low-key. As long as he was not provoked, he seemed to be non-existent. He conveyed the Death Oracle and ordered believers to punish evil and promote good to maintain justice. At the request of the Death Knight, the believers of death did not use extraordinary power, and acted according to the legal procedures of Windsor. They stepped on the uneven road and cut the faith, which was highly praised by the people. It was limited to civilians. The upper class had many complaints about the Dawn Detective Agency. Because they could not beat them, they could only take a step back and get angrier and angrier. The Death Knight came, but his influence was limited. He never got involved in the power circle, which was not much different from not coming. Therefore, the upper class of power who ruled the upper class had a very good impression of the Death Knight. If all churches were as sensible as the Death Knight, the world would be peaceful. At least for now. Aston and Megan walked into the detective agency, and suddenly, the lights came on. Abio turned on the lighting on the roof and frowned at the 2 strange guests. London has been very uneasy recently. Who are you and who are you here for? Are you the devil again? Abio received an order from Wayne that 2 distinguished guests would arrive tonight, and asked him to wait there and lead them directly to the West District Cemetery. Don't neglect the distinguished guests. Wayne didn't say who the distinguished guests were and what their identities were, and Abio didn't ask. I am Aston Landau, this is my secretary, I'm here to see the Death Knight. Aston looked at Abio curiously. The Death Knight's craftsmanship is very sophisticated, and the undead life forged has extremely high wisdom and maintains itself to a certain extent. Of course, he knew very well that Abio was special, different from other undead life, and it was more appropriate to describe him as a magical life. The Ministry of Magic has been studying this project for a long time, and because it is uncontrollable, the output is extremely low. Austen Landau. Abo's mouth twitched. He knew this name. He was the top brother of the London Police Department. Most of the benefits he enjoyed during his lifetime came from this name. In other words, Austen had paid Abio a salary before. In addition, the name of Austen Landau had a deeper meaning, which was of great significance to Abio. Some time ago, the hell familiar Marius provoked the Death Knight in the West District Cemetery and was defeated and killed. Mona, the combat nun of the church, watched the whole process. After being reminded by his colleague Aubin, Abio learned that Mona was the secretary of his master, the Death Knight. Coincidentally, Wayne Detective Agency, the boss of the Wayne Detective Agency opposite the Dawn Detective Agency, also had a secretary named Mona. What's more, the 2 Monas not only had the same name, but also looked exactly the same. Abio didn't dare to ask or say anything. He attributed everything to a miracle. By the way, he strengthened the control of the Dawn Detective Agency on the West District Commercial Street, strictly restrained employees, and strengthened the spiritual civilization construction of the enterprise. In short, if you are at work, just work hard, don't chatter and make noise all day long, it is wrong to cause trouble to neighbors. Abio didn't dare to think too much about whether Wayne was a Death Knight. He only knew that Wayne's surname was Landau, he was the heir of the Landau family, and his father's name was Austen. That is the Austen Landau in front of him. "What's wrong? Is there anything wrong with my name?" Austin smiled slightly. He knew what Abio was thinking. As the top brother of the London police station, he still had some influence. To be frank, the reason why the police station cooperated with the Don Detective Agency and dared to arrest people by providing evidence was that he also made a lot of efforts. "It's a great honor to meet you, Mr. Landau." Abio took off his gentleman's hat and saluted Austin from the bottom of his heart. Whether he was alive or dead, the man in front of him was not someone he could neglect. No wonder the host said that the distinguished guest came. But Abio put on his hat and said hesitantly, "Mr. Landau, you said you came for my master, the Death Knight, and wanted to see him." "Yes. Is there a possibility, let's just say it's possible, that you can see the Death Knight at home?" Abbo's eyes were strange, the light shone down from the roof, and the shadow of the hat brim covered his eyes. Austin and Megan didn't notice. "I know it's difficult to see the Death Knight, but I have a reason to come. I hope you can pass on a message so that I can see the Death Knight tonight." Austin added, "Please rest assured, I am different from those demons. On the contrary, I came on behalf of Windsor and want to discuss with the Death Knight how to deal with these demons." Abio probably understood something. Perhaps, possibly, his father did not know the true identity of his son. Abio was not in a position to participate in the master's family affairs. He did not have the ability to participate even if he wanted to. Without permission, he could not even indirectly express the name. Abio nodded, "Mr. Landau, since you came for the devil, I have no reason to turn you away. I believe that the master will also warmly welcome you." As he said that, he turned and walked out of the detective agency and went to the West District Cemetery first. Megan drove closely behind, and Austin closed his eyes and rested in the passenger seat, his hands quickly turning the ancient silver coins. It was much smoother than expected. The servant of the Death Knight was very polite and spoke very nicely. "I hope that a good beginning will have a good ending, Megan." Halfway through the journey, Austin handed the ancient silver coin in his hand to Megan, who took it with one hand, stuffed it into his mouth and swallowed it directly. Austin looked a little painful, and his features became more ferocious. He raised his hand and pressed it on Megan's leg, took a few deep breaths, and his face looked much better. "Master, you haven't exercised for a long time, and your resistance has become worse," Megan reminded. "There is no way. This is a silver coin representing death. We can't let the Death Knight take it away, even if he may be a fake." Austin took out another ancient silver coin from his pocket, Orb's ancient silver coin, and played with it again. In the second half of the journey, he kept his hands on his legs, and didn't say a word the whole time, just touching his legs. 20 minutes later, the black luxury car stopped at the West District Cemetery. Austin got out of the car and put his hand around Megan's slender waist. His movements were very skillful, and it was obviously not the first time. The two walked into the foggy cemetery, walked through the tombstones, and occasionally heard the sound of claws rubbing against the coffin. Abio arrived first and waited in front of a tombstone without words. Accompanying him were the undead warhorse Yulia, the evil dog Aben, and the atmosphere group skeleton owl Axu, who was responsible for the ghostly screams. The entire team of the Death Knight was here. At a glance, there was no one alive. Boom! The ground bulged with mud, and the coffin made of bones broke out of the ground, overturned the tombstone without words, and stood upright in the cemetery. The four younger brothers bowed to greet him and called him master. He. Wayne kicked open the coffin board, wearing black armor and a tattered death cloak, and strode out of it. Looking at the couple in front of him, he snorted disdainfully. "You kid, let me catch you." Wayne had guessed a long time ago that Megan and Austin had an affair, and their relationship was not innocent. Only the teacher and the stupid couple believed that the husband was not close to women and the housekeeper was pure and innocent, so she was not cuckolded. It's so funny. The teacher didn't even think about it. The housekeeper and the mistress look 80% similar, with the same hairstyle, and they are inseparable from the male master all day long. Which male master can withstand this test? Wayne felt that he couldn't do it. Similarly, in the case of a comparison of the worst, Austen was not even as good as him, and he certainly couldn't stand it. The Great Death Knight, Austen Landor represents Windsor and sends you the most sincere greetings. Austen bowed slightly. Austen Landor, right? Welcome to the cemetery. I have heard of you, the rich playboy. Wayne looked at Meghan. What about this, your lover? As you can see, that's it. You shameless thing, actually admitted it. Wait for death, I will tell the teacher this word for word. Wayne was expecting Austen to be beaten into a high-level paraplegia, and he would be the head of the Landau family from then on, living in Austen's house, spending Austen's money, sleeping with Austen's daughter, and beating Austen's grandson. At the end, he even pulled out Austen's oxygen tube. Minute Maid.jpg. After thinking about it, it seems that it is not a good idea. Telling the teacher means to reveal the identity of the Death Knight. In comparison, the student is a Death Knight. The shocking effect is too great. The husband and the housekeeper are messing around. There is no comparison at all. Wayne secretly thought it was bad luck. He had the evidence, but he couldn't do anything to Loudon. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He snorted coldly, "You came here on behalf of Windsor to discuss with me how to execute the devil, but you brought your lover to hug in front of me. What, are you mocking me for being a skeleton? The Death Knight is very aggressive. Is it a coincidence?" Austen frowned slightly, smiled and skipped the topic, saying, "Sir Knight, a few days ago, the devil from hell came to the world and challenged your majesty in the cemetery, but was eventually killed by you. Very impressive, you all know this. To be honest, the Ministry of Magic has a special source of intelligence, which controls every move of London, and any movement cannot be hidden from the Queen's eyes," Austen said modestly. "Is that special source of intelligence a very sunny and handsome guy?" Wayne rolled his eyes, which he couldn't move, and praised him, and the other party even gasped. "Sir Knight, I'm sure you know that there is more than one devil, and there are companions hiding in the dark, and their target is also you. The Queen is deeply concerned about your situation when she learns about this. Will the Queen be so kind?" Wayne sneered and said coldly, "Stop talking nonsense. I don't know why, I feel uncomfortable all over when I see you, and my bones are almost crisp. I wish I could draw my sword and chop you into 7 or 8 pieces immediately." X2. Austen frowned, and he was the same. He analyzed the Death Knight's inexplicable disgust and tightened his hand on the slender waist. It fits perfectly. Meghan is directly pressed against Austen's arms, her chest is deformed. Wayne is extremely envious, no, extremely angry, and is filled with grief and indignation at his family's misfortune, and wants to draw his sword to kill his relatives for the sake of justice. "Sir Knight, the devils come for you, lying dormant only to kill with one blow. Your current situation is very dangerous. You don't need to teach me, they are just 2 devils, I am not afraid at all. No, you may not know what the devils have got these 2 days." Austen spoke quickly. "The devils have found the 7 devil containers hidden in London. Once they open the gates of hell, the 7 devils' divine power will inevitably descend on the earth. The devils have also obtained the power of the void, which is an immortal and indestructible terrorist army without reason and fear of death. Your power may be unmatched, but what will you do when facing so many powerful enemies at the same time? Sir Knight, your enemy should be the Life Alliance, right? That makes sense. If I don't cooperate with you, I will definitely suffer, but..." Wayne laughed sinisterly. "How did London get the containers of the 7 demon kings, and where did the devil get the power of the void? I am very curious about these questions." Can you explain them? Although the Death Knight has an empty head, he is not without brains. He sees the truth behind the hypocrisy and kindness at a glance. Austin explained calmly, because of your strength, the devil knew he could not defeat you, so he stole strategic materials from all over London, and the royal family suffered heavy losses. According to what you said, I was wrong first. Wayne interrupted directly. To put it another way, the devil that could have been easily solved became difficult because of your poor supervision. Isn't that the truth? Sir Knight, we are all victims. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and the most urgent task is to eradicate the devil. The Queen's kindness is your mouth. Wayne sneered. Not bad, you are quite good at talking, but it's all nonsense. Let's be practical. I know the Queen can't hold on. What is she willing to pay for the crown on her head? Finally got to the point. Austin secretly breathed a sigh of relief and hugged Meghan tightly in his arms. The Queen is very much looking forward to cooperating with the Knight and hopes to continue cooperating in the future. What do you think of faith? The faith of death in Windsor is suppressed by the Life Alliance. The Queen thinks it is time to make adjustments. Too empty, not interested. Wayne flatly denied that he was holding the thigh of the goddess of death to take advantage, and he did not intend to work for the other party. What does the Knight want? Finally got to the point. Wayne nodded secretly. He wanted a lot and wanted to eat a lot to become fat, but he also knew that he could give worthless faith, but the Queen would secretly tamper with the truly valuable treasures even if she gave them. It is better not to increase the risk of exposing his identity in vain. Wayne thought for a day and put forward the requirements for cooperation. Since the Queen is so sincere, I will take a step back and express my sincerity. Meet my two requirements. I agree that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, otherwise no deal. Please speak. The first one. Wayne looked at the ancient silver coin in Austin's hand. The silver coin in your hand is very interesting, it belongs to me. Austin's eyes shrank suddenly, suspecting that the Death Knight knew something. Sensing Austin's tense muscles, Meghan leaned towards him, and the palm of her hand behind Austin gently stroked his back, which made him relax a lot. Bah, shameless. I turned off the lights. Wayne was angry. No, he was envious, and said coldly, why, it's just an ancient silver coin. Is this the Queen's sincerity? Sir Knight, you may not know that this ancient silver coin represents my identity in the Ministry of Magic. Many senior officials have one. It is a token of my identity. So what? I just like the one in your hand, and I won't take others. Wayne said indifferently, give me the ancient silver coin, and I will cooperate with the Queen. If you don't give it to me, leave now, don't delay my long sleep. It's a pity not to sleep on such a good moon. Austin took a deep breath. Okay, the ancient silver coin can be given to you. Ob's ancient silver coin, if it's gone, it's gone. He will go back to report to the Queen and apply for another one. Anyway, it's the property of the royal family, so I don't feel sorry. The second request, turn around, I'm going to kick you hard. X2. Austin was stunned, and Meghan was also stunned for a moment. They never expected that the second request would be so ridiculous. Sir Knight, are you serious? Why, you can't kick your ass. Wayne laughed and said, that's right, this is not your ass, it's the Queen's face. Let me guess, you have an affair with the Queen, you are her lover, right? X2. Ah, why is no one talking? Austin, you should refute it quickly. Wayne was shocked. If it weren't for the skull face, his facial features would have been distorted with envy. He thought Meghan was the bottom line for Austin, but he didn't expect that this guy had something with the Queen. Who is it? Prince Edward or Princess Elizabeth? It must be the princess. No wonder he was not allowed to hook up with the princess. It turned out that she was Veronica's sister. Lord Knight, Please don't make fun of the monarch's reputation in front of me. She is a noble and pure woman, Austin said seriously. Yes, very pure. I just made some deals with the devils in hell. Wayne let out the words he couldn't say these days and walked forward 2 steps, turn around and get kicked by me. If it works, then get out. It's getting late and I have to go to bed. Behind Austin, Megan's hand tightened slightly, and he himself was silent for a moment, and then said, Sir Knight, you seem to have a big opinion on me. That's true. I don't know why, but when I see your face, I feel a little disgusted for no reason. Wayne pretended to think. In short, the knight's intuition tells me that if I don't give you a kick, I will definitely not be able to sleep well tonight. Austin narrowed his eyes slightly, thinking about the deep meaning behind this sentence. Megan lowered her head and gave him a look, asking Austin if he wanted to agree. It was obvious that the ancient silver coins and inexplicable malice meant that the Death Knight was almost at a loss. Don't worry, try it again. Austin patted his butt, and when Megan took 2 steps back, he turned around smartly. My Lord Knight, at your request, this is also the Queen's sincerity. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 214. Austin turned around, and in a direction that Wayne couldn't see, his facial features were ferocious, as if he was suppressing something. Megan was distressed when she saw him, and took 2 steps forward to hold his neck. After the contact, his face looked better. Damn dog man, who are you showing off to? Do you really think that skeletons don't have a nightlife? You two can't imagine how much fun skeletons have when they take off their vests. Wayne snorted, that person, lover, I'm talking about you, what's there to support? He's not a patient. Instead of supporting him here, it's better to run away and catch him later. Wayne's words were thorny, and Megan became more suspicious. Austin said calmly, Sir Knight, please move quickly. I have to go back to report the cooperation to the Queen. This is easy. Leave the things at the detective agency, and Abio will bring them to the cemetery and give them to me. Wayne grinned twice. Of course, if there is anyone who is not afraid of death, you can also send them directly. The tombstone without words is my doorbell. As he said, he took 2 steps forward and commented with a sound of task tisk, I can't tell that your butt is so perky. I guess it must feel good to kick it. X4. Today's master is weird. Is it because of the discord between father and son? That's right. After all, he is an illegitimate child. He has been hiding his identity for many years and must have suffered a lot of grievances. The picture is too beautiful. Abio lowered his head and couldn't see it. Yulia and Aubin were not like that. They opened their eyes happily. Axu and her silly husband stood on the horse's back and didn't look very smart. My lover, take your hand away. This kick will be very powerful. I advise you to follow it from a distance. Wayne spoke again. He was strict with others and lenient with himself, and did not want others to let others loose in front of him. Especially since this guy was named Austin. This kick, in addition to personal grudges, also means seeking justice for the teacher. Wayne thought silently in his mind, shaking his ankle and preparing to kick. Referring to aerodynamics, the greater the relative speed between Austin and the air, the greater the force on Austin, and the more beautiful the flight arc will be. Perfect, a good shot. Austin followed the Death Knight's request, pushed Megan away, and refused support. The pain returned, the muscles all over his body tightened, and his legs began to tremble involuntarily. Ja. Wayne didn't know the truth and laughed heartily. Don't be afraid, relax. I have rich experience and won't make you feel pain. Besides, you usually fly a lot, and you have all the points for resisting beatings. Wayne had been looking forward to this moment for a long time. He ignored Megan's alert look, took small steps to accelerate, and kicked Austin on the butt. At this time, he had forgotten his teacher. This kick was all personal grudges. Austin took off from the spot like a cannonball, breaking through the thick fog and moving away from the cemetery. Pieces of mist ripples spread out, moistening Wayne's not spacious heart, making him feel very comfortable. At the same time, Megan rushed straight into the distance at an amazing speed, and held Austin steadily in her arms before he landed. Wayne had good eyesight, and he was unhappy again when he saw this scene. 2 minutes later, Megan helped Austin back. The latter was pale and sweaty, looking particularly embarrassed. "Great acting. Young man, you are a little weak. Sex is a steel knife that scrapes bones. When you reach my age, you will know that the so-called beauty is nothing but a delusion." Wayne pointed to his skeleton. These words came out of his mouth, which were very convincing. "After all, it's just a bunch of bones. Sir Knight, you have received the Queen's sincerity. Someone will contact your servant later. I hope you don't miss it." Austin threw out the ancient silver coin. Wayne raised his hand to catch it, put it in front of him and breathed, sensing the element fellow behind the passage, and said with satisfaction, "Tell the Queen that I have received her sincerity. If the first cooperation is pleasant, I don't mind continuing to cooperate in the future. As long as you don't miss it. No, I have some grievances with the devil, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend. In that case, please allow me to leave first, and I wish you a good dream tonight. Go away." After getting the reply from the Death Knight, Austin turned around and left, unwilling to stay for a moment. When the black luxury car was halfway, Megan stopped suddenly, spit out the ancient silver coin from her mouth, took out a handkerchief to wipe it clean, and put it in front of Austin. Austin took the ancient silver coin and played with it, and he felt much more relaxed. "Master, did the Death Knight see something? Maybe, he only wants the ancient silver coin, and deliberately humiliates me." Austin closed his eyes, the sweat evaporated from his body, and his face returned to normal. "I gave him a chance, he didn't kill him, and didn't confirm the authenticity of the ancient silver coin at the first time." Austin had a headache and said, "I don't know what he is thinking, I can only be sure that he has doubted me. Do you want to get rid of him?" Megan started the car. "You said before that he is not a real Death Knight. I may be able to kill him. It's too noisy and will be exposed." Austin shook his head. Regardless of whether Megan can kill the Death Knight alone, the seal that separates the two from fighting is bound to make a lot of noise, and it will attract too much attention. In addition, he is smarter than I thought. I think he has been prepared. It's not that easy to kill him. If I leave it alone, he may threaten the lady and the young master. Is it okay?" Austin narrowed his eyes slightly, and murderous intent rose in his eyes. This is what he is most worried about. "I'll turn back now." "No, wait a moment. Let the devil do it." Austin put away his ancient silver coins and murmured, "It is impossible for the goddess to have two knights walking in the world. Compared with the purpose of his coming to London, I am more curious about his identity. Who is he? Could it be someone from the Ministry of Magic? I don't rule out this possibility, but it's definitely not those legendary mages." Speaking of this, Austin said, "Go to the headquarters of the Ministry of Magic. I want to see the minister. The cooperation has been reached. It is time to close the devil's net." In addition, the Death Knight made a lot of requests. In addition to ancient silver coins, he also asked for a large number of magic props. I delivered the ancient silver coins first, and the remaining magic props must be given to the Death Knight as soon as possible. This is very important. Megan. The Death Knight wanted something else. She was at the scene, how could she not know? Early the next morning, Wayne got out of the sewer and came to Landau Manor. After searching around, I found Austin in the stable in the backyard of the manor. The latter was supervising Megan's feeding of feed. The rack was large and he did not do it himself. This is true when feeding cats, and it is also true when feeding horses. You always just care about yourself. Wayne stood next to Austin and took a closer look, regret written all over his face. What, you're disappointed that I'm not dead? It's nothing, I'm just happy. I was so excited to see you alive that I lost control of my expression, Wayne said gloomily. I'm so annoyed by the sight of you, you should have had your ass kicked by the Death Knight last night. Austin said angrily, don't be too happy too early. I'm still alive and will live well in the future. If you want to be the head of the family, just wait. It's not a big problem, some people have survived for 70 years. Wayne looked impulsive and glanced at the ancient silver coin in Austin's hand. How's it going? Did everything go well last night? Did the Death Knight make things difficult for you? Say, are you happy being kicked? Everything goes well. The Death Knight may be a little crazy, but he is not a complete madman. Faced with the devil hidden in the dark, he is willing to cooperate with the Queen, Austin said. Why are you talking about this nonsense? Wayne didn't want to explain it in a word, and blinked. I didn't get to learn the Landau family's sophisticated diplomatic skills on the spot. You can just listen to it. You know, as the heir, I want to make progress too much. It's nothing. The two parties exchanged interests. The Death Knight got what he wanted and agreed to cooperate. That's it. Austin's expression remained unchanged. Be specific, what is it? Wayne scratched his head, he was too studious. I have given him the ancient silver coins and several precious magic props that I carry with me. The magic props will be sent to the West End Cemetery tonight. What the hell, the Death Knight wants something else. Wayne looked constipated. Others were at the scene. How could he not know? No need to think about it, Loudon must have taken the opportunity to take the kickback. Damn society's trash, he's so good at scooping it up. Then what? Your ancient silver coin has been given to the Death Knight. Where did this one come from? This ancient silver coin was originally owned by the Queen. She compensated me as a bargaining chip for cooperation with the Death Knight. Austin simply explained that he met with the minister overnight last night and the ancient silver coin was lost and recovered. Did you spend the night in the Queen's bedroom? Is Meghan there? Damn it. Wayne looked envious and stopped acting. He followed this expression and said, can you give me this ancient silver coin? If you ask the Queen for another one, she will tell the Death Knight to increase the price and take away your ancient silver coin. When you become the head of the family, this ancient silver coin will naturally belong to you. May I ask, when will you go to hell? Wayne blurted out, facing Austin's expressionless face, and scratched his face in shame. I'm sorry, I want to make progress too much. Don't worry, I promise to only think about it in my heart and never say it out loud. Austin rolled his eyes and vowed that next time, he would send Wayne to the West End Cemetery and let the Death Knight kick his ass. And that damn Death Knight is really strong. Austin, I hear what you say. The Death Knight has agreed to cooperate with the Queen. What will happen next? Will the Tulip family take any action? Wayne asked. The Death Knight is willing to cooperate, and the Tulip family's tasks will be much easier. Austin said slowly, although it is unclear how the Queen will arrange it, but based on previous experience, the Death Knight is easy to use and will continue to be used. The Tulip family each performs their duties, either cleaning up the miscellaneous soldiers or washing the land. As for the legendary wizards of the Ministry of Magic, when their own interests are involved, this group of internal fighting experts is not worthy of trust. Unless the Queen has other arrangements, she will not issue tasks to them. Wayne's face became embarrassed when he heard it. If it's easy to use it to death. As expected of our Windsor, the Death Knight was selected as the best employee of the year as soon as he entered the trap. These are not important. It's not your turn to worry about. I'll give you a task. Austin got on the horse and took it to bask in the sun outside the stable. Wayne took the reins from Megan's hand and easily got on the horse. His riding skills were quite exquisite. Austin frowned. "Where did you learn riding?" "The movements are very smooth, but the posture is not formal, and you can actually ride." "Is it strange that I, a senior agent, can ride a horse?" "That's right. If Windsor doesn't teach, Frank will teach, so there's nothing wrong with it." Austin nodded. "No problem." The two rode horses for a stroll in the pasture, with two black horses and Megan following closely behind on a bay horse. Austin struggled for a long time and reluctantly said, "Yesterday I mentioned your secretary Mona. She likes you. I want to find a way to get her so that she is no longer pure and willing to be your lover." "What does it mean to be willing and think of a way? You don't know how hard she works to climb up." Wayne curled his lips and said in a sinister tone, "What kind of lover is Megan like that?" "I repeat, Megan is not my lover." "Come on, last night you two hugged each other and you touched her butt." Wayne didn't believe it and wanted to continue the topic. Austin interrupted the spell casting. "Mona is the spy arranged by the Holy See to be around you. Maybe it was to investigate the blood tyrant of Dragonheart Island at the beginning, but as you the potential you keep showing, and your ability to fight the devil." Kind sighed. Austin didn't want to praise Wayne, so he said with a sullen face, "The Holy See has misunderstood you deeply and took a fancy to your tulip family status. Mona will always stay by your side. I won't tell you their purpose. In your heart clear. There are indeed sinister intentions, especially the Pope, he really knows it all too well. The Holy See wants to control you through Mona, or indirectly influence you. You did a good job before, deceiving her into being fascinated, but this is not enough. Instigate her to rebel and make her only serve you." Austin issued the task. "Is it really appropriate to seduce a pure nun into corruption? It is the Holy See that has fallen. You are just following the trend." The more Austin talked, the more unhappy he became. "In short, you must have ideas about such a beautiful beauty. In that case, why not turn her into your own property and obtain information about the Holy See through her?" Wayne frowned. "Austin, is this what you mean, or is it a new mission from the Ministry of Magic?" "New mission?" "Yes, the target of the last mission was Philomena, the high priest of the Moonlight Church. To be honest, she may have fallen in love with me." Wayne shook his head and blamed himself. "To be honest, I like this kind of mission so much that I am willing to sacrifice for the country, but every time I see her face, my conscience is tortured. X2. I feel wrong to you. X2. Megan rolled her eyes. "Each generation of the Landau family is worse than the last, just like this country, it will end sooner or later." Austin was so angry that he didn't speak for a long time, and glared at Wayne fiercely. "She is the high priest of the Moonlight Church. She is no longer a little girl who longs for love. You are so arrogant, you don't know who is the prey." Wayne nodded humbly, indicating that he had learned something. "I mean, a task like the beauty trap is too harmful to one's character. I want to be a good man, not like you, carrying my lover with me all day long and still having nothing to do." Everyone talks and laughs with the teacher. There was a thorn in Wayne's words, but Austin just pretended not to hear it. "The mission is given to you by me and has nothing to do with the Ministry of Magic. There are more and more devils in London. The Holy See will definitely not miss this opportunity and capture you as soon as possible. Secretary, let her obey you. What will Veronica do if she finds out?" "It has nothing to do with me." "Forget it." Wayne rolled his eyes. "For the sake of the family, I can deceive women without conscience, but you must clear my name. You cannot let me be wrong despite being ignorant of my conscience. I can help you hide the secretary's matter, only from her." Austin took a step back. "And the high priest, that bitch is a little crazy and very possessive. Whether she is pretending or not, you must help me clear my name for sacrificing my life for the country, and you can't let me be wronged." Wayne went one step further. The mission assigned to you by the Ministry of Magic has nothing to do with me. Don't push yourself too far. Then don't talk about the secretary. After some bargaining, Austin agreed to Wayne that he would not be kind enough to help hold birthday parties in the future, but if Wayne committed suicide, it would be none of his business. Austin's words were of average credibility, and he seemed to agree, but in fact he left himself room for maneuver. Wayne didn't believe it, so he took Austin to the study and asked him to sign a written agreement. Megan wrote it with an expressionless face, and her words were full of contempt. Afterwards, Austin signed it, letting Wayne go ahead and do it boldly. After getting the document, Wayne was deeply surprised. Austin, is the Holy Father's church so scary? Would you rather Veronica be wrong than arrange an undercover agent, or should I say that you were beaten by the Death Knight last night? Brain. It's better to suffer a little injustice than to lose everything. Austin looked at Wayne seriously. What we stand under our feet is the God-chosen continent. God is Heavenly Father, not other gods. The power of the Holy See is far more terrifying than you think. Once Heavenly Father's Holy See returns to Windsor, not only the royal family, the Tulip family will suffer too. Seeing Austin's resolute attitude, Wayne nodded solemnly. I understand. I'm going to go on a date with Mona and try to win her over so that she only listens to me and goes to the Holy See to be an undercover agent. As long as you understand. By the way, are you sure you weren't repaired by the Death Knight last night? Wayne changed the subject and winked. I always feel that you have been wronged. Tell me. I swear to the goddess, I will never laugh. Roll. It turns out there is. Orphanage, underground fortress. Thick, moist darkness shrouded everything, with only one light illuminating a limited area, and everything was blurry in all directions. At the end of the passage, a subtle voice was infinitely amplified. Gain. The devil dressed as a gentleman was curled up outside the door licking his wounds. His gold-rimmed glasses were broken on one side, his walking stick was thrown on the ground, his eyes were full of bloodshot, his fingernails were full of mud, and his clothes were ragged and miserable. This is not a devil, but a tramp. Because it is so useful, Gain was forced to accept 3 big customers in one night, and he is now recovering from his injuries. The plan to divert the legendary wizard away by making a feint to the east and attacking the west was very effective. Gain did not face Plank and Bon head-on, but the battle at Windsor Castle was a real forcible entry. He was caught in a hard battle in the base camp of the Holy Light Knights and was seriously injured. Inside the door, the mysterious man studied the containers of the 7 demon kings and gained a lot by the way. He strengthened the divine power in the containers, making them more similar to the 7 demon kings than just on the surface. Gain, the investigation has been very intense these days, so I am not able to come out. I am sorry to trouble you again. The mysterious man patted Gain's shoulder and entrusted him with an important task: take the containers of the 7 demon kings and the void eggs. Those crazy forgotten ones are also under your control. Go to the Landau family tonight and lure away the evil dragon in his house. I want to see the real Austin. And his ancient silver coin, find a way to bring it back. Remember, Austin's illegitimate son, he also has secrets, don't underestimate him. Follow your orders. Gain nodded in confusion. He missed home and wanted to go back to hell. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 215. Landau Manor. After his meal, Wayne wandered around the lawn outside the grove, trying to capture cute little ones like Monica or Veronica. I have to say that the magic barrier of Landau Manor is still very reliable. The thick fog covering London deters here, and you can see a big moon when you look up. There are very few stars, almost invisible. The magic barrier can resist the fog in London at night, which is limited to supernatural fog and cannot reject the smog produced by industry. If you want to see the starry sky, you must stay away from London. As he was walking, Wayne saw a hand stretched out behind the tree, and it hooked at him. Veronica captured. Wayne happily came forward. What a coincidence, Veronica, you are here too. I'm catching Monica, what about you? I'm catching you. Veronica skillfully grabbed the collar of the social garbage, pressed it against the tree, and lowered her head to sniff the collar. There is perfume. During dinner, Veronica smelled a strange smell. There were many people at that time, so she didn't dare to ask. Seeing Wayne wandering towards the grove, she made a special trip to block him here. Where did the perfume come from? What are you doing today? Veronica became more and more angry, staring at the social garbage, and was about to speak. Then, Wayne, W. Bang. Veronica got angry and raised her fist to hit Wayne in the face, grabbing his collar tightly. Don't pretend to be pure in front of me. I read your diary in one day. I know, a loyal reader. Wayne covered his nose, symbolically hurting for a while, and grinned. I wanted to say it during dinner. I saw that you didn't have much appetite. Is it because the dishes are not to your taste, or did your relatives come these days? Your relatives are here. Veronica punched him again. She didn't know the word relative at first, but after reading Wayne's diary, she understood what it meant in the context. So the dishes are not to my taste. Neither. When I was eating, there was always a strange smell coming from the opposite side. It was you. It was stinky and made me lose my appetite. Veronica had a cold face. No way, it smells good. Wayne lowered his head and shrugged his nose. It's the perfume on Mona. I asked her to go shopping today and bought a lot of things. This bottle of perfume was selected by me personally. It is said that there are 3 scents, front, middle, and back. Bang. Veronica interrupted with a punch, gritting her teeth, and said, who asked you this? As the heir of the Landau family, you date women of questionable character all the time, and you have ruined the family's image. Impossible, Austin has already ruined it, and the family's image has hit rock bottom, and there is no room for further decline. Wayne said with reason, besides, Mona is not a questionable woman, she is smart and capable, and should be one of the best women. Who told you this? Veronica punched continuously, knowing that she couldn't argue with Wayne, and said bitterly, just because she is your secretary, you should stay away from her. Going shopping with her will only cause rumors. Do you understand what I mean? I don't quite understand. Wayne was almost laughing to death, and said with a puzzled look, Veronica, why are you so angry? Because I didn't ask you out, but went to find Mona instead. Veronica's forehead was bulging with veins, and she raised her fist. Wayne caught it. Veronica, you misunderstood. My date with Mona was a mission. I had to do it for the sake of the family. Ah. Veronica pulled back her fist, put her hands on her shoulders, and sneered as Wayne continued to tell the story. London has been a bit chaotic recently. Austin and I have been busy. I believe you have seen all this. To tell you the truth, London has been invaded by the devil. Wayne looked around and whispered in Veronica's ear. After saying that, he added, this is a secret. Austin didn't dare to tell the teacher, and that's you. I wouldn't tell anyone else. The two were very close, like a couple having a tryst in the woods. Veronica didn't think there was anything wrong. Maybe she had seen it, or maybe she had used more intimate entanglements during sparring. In her subconscious, the safe distance from Wayne was 0. If she hadn't been worried about getting his clothes dirty, Wayne would have been pushed down by her and ridden on the grass. You lied to me again. How can there be so many demons in Rendon? Veronica frowned and quickly reacted, no, there are demons in Rendon. What does it have to do with you dating Mona? What do you mean again? She is an undercover agent planted by the Vatican next to me. Do you understand? Wayne raised his eyebrows. We are all smart people. I will say this. Just know it. Don't spread it out. Veronica looked confused and sorted it out, but she couldn't figure out the cause and effect. Devil, Vatican, royal family, tulip family. Wayne sorted out the cause and effect and concluded, Austen was worried that the Heavenly Father Church would take this opportunity to invade Windsor, so he sent me to seduce Mona and make her work for me wholeheartedly, and in turn become an undercover agent planted by the Landau family in the Heavenly Father Church. I dated Mona for the future of the family. Impossible, you are still lying to me. Swish. Wayne took out the receipt and said confidently, Megan's handwriting, Austen's signature, how can it be fake in black and white? Veronica opened her mouth wide, it was true. Seeing her reaching out to snatch it, Wayne hurriedly took back the receipt, just take a look, if you tear it up, where can I find a second one? Austen is black all over, he won't prove it for me a second time. Damn rubbish, how could you do this? Veronica hesitated to speak, and hesitated to speak. Looking at the way she clenched her fists, you knew she was very angry. Understand, although it seems that I am having an affair with other women outside, it is actually for the sake of the family, and... Wayne put his hand on Veronica's shoulder, I have been missing a girl, waiting for her response. I kept my first kiss for her, but she never responded. We see each other every day, but there is always a distance between me and her. It's too difficult for me to have a thick barrier. Well, for the sake of the family, is this your excuse to date other women? She slapped Wayne's hand away. It was different from the past. It was not that easy to deceive her. She said firmly, there can't be so many devils in London. This note is also fake. It must be you two bastards who carried out an unscrupulous conspiracy people's transactions. If you violate filial piety, you will be laughed at. Wayne was just a happy man. He smiled and was stunned. He looked up at the night sky and said dumbfounded, no, just as you say, Veronica, look, there is a devil. Veronica took 2 steps back and guarded against social rubbish, asshole, have you gotten dragon's blood again? Dragon blood PTSD. Wayne said nothing, grabbed Veronica's hand, and ran quickly towards the big house. At the same time, he punched high in the sky, surging fire elements gathered, and bright fireworks exploded. An arrow pierces the clouds, and thousands of troops come to meet you. With thousands of troops gone, Austen in the study heard the explosion and stood by the window with a frown, looking at the strange spatial changes over Landau Manor. Austen recognized this barrier. It was a strengthened barrier specially developed by the Ministry of Magic to capture the legendary mage. It was reversely developed based on the legendary mage's life force field. It first blocked the real space, and then transferred it to the projection of the void universe. Continuously 2 space blockades ensured that the legendary mage had no way to escape. Afterwards, several legendary mages entered the scene and captured the target alive through their numerical advantage. Sir, the devil is here. Megan came behind Austen and looked at the changes in the sky. There is a traitor at the top of the Ministry of Magic who made a deal with the devil. Austen's expression remained as usual, without any fluctuation. Let everyone move to the first level of alert and allow free fire. The same goes for you. I allow you to break the seal without leaving any survivors. Megan nodded, a cold light bloomed in his eyes, and his mind connected with all the servants of the Landau family, immediately entered the big house, and launched defense with weapons. Austen, are you causing trouble outside again? Sci-fi pushed open the study door, quickly came to the window, glanced at her daughter and students downstairs, and said with a slight displeasure, this is a method of the Ministry of Magic. Have you done anything outrageous? Are you rebelling? No, it's the devil. Austen pointed to the sky, that white mass is the void egg lost by the Ministry of Magic. It was stolen by the devil. As for why the devil came to Landau Manor. Speaking of this, Austen glanced at Megan, maybe it's for Megan, or maybe it's for you, the high priest of the Church of Nature. If you die, the Church of Nature can take the opportunity to attack the Ministry of Magic. Where do all these devils come from? I don't know. I heard that they are here for the Death Knight. The Death Knight is in our house. Sci-fi was stunned and suddenly turned her head to look at Austin, her shocked pupils filled with suspicion. I'm not a Death Knight. Austin said with a dark face, don't think nonsense. I swear there is no Death Knight in my family. The devil came for the Death Knight at first, but then the target was unknown, and he turned to target the royal family, and now he has become the Tulip family. How much do you know, and why don't you tell me? Asshole. He punched Austin in the face. The latter covered his nose and felt pain, and explained, you never care about the royal family and family affairs, and I don't want to trouble you with these trivial matters, that's all. Megan, tell me. Madam, I am afraid that you will get in the way. I knew it. Sci-fi was furious and added another punch. On the other side, Wayne dragged Veronica and ran all the way. I told you to build a subway earlier, but I didn't listen. Now it's okay. The enemy is knocking on the door, so we can only walk on our legs. Veronica was dragged forward by Wayne, looking up at the night sky, her mouth opened in an O shape. So big. High in the dark night sky, the solitary moon gradually became oval, its soft water-like luster no longer existed, and the whole thing took on a pale and dim color. It was a huge insect egg, with a sharp front end and a blunt end. The squirming parts had a soft body, resembling a maggot. As its body expanded and squirmed, the sharp end opened a black cavity, and large amounts of black mucus flowed down from the sky. The upside-down hemispherical magic barrier that touched the mid-air made a sizzling sound of water splashing hot oil. The black ink exploded and crackled, and black slime splashed everywhere, dyeing the entire upside-down semicircle black. The magic barrier covering Landau Manor resisted it. Layers of magic arrays lit up, starting from the big house villa and extending to the central dome at the highest point of the barrier. As many as 1,000. Wayne was stunned by the powerful defensive capabilities. He was worthy of being an old man. The tortoise shell was intimidating. With such thick armor, it must be stable. The two entered the big house and went straight to the study. Along the way, servants were armed with firearms, and the intensity of their firepower was impressive. Veronica said in disbelief, it turns out there is a devil, but why did the devil come to our house? The existence of the devil means that the contract is real. Veronica's forehead sank. She would not allow it. The previous generation of the head of the family had a configuration of butler and secretary and lover. The next generation can only have a butler. FLA is pretty good. Bang. Wayne kicked open the door of the study and saw that the three important people were there. He said quickly, I was dating Veronica in the grove just now. Suddenly the moon was deformed. Who cast the barrier? Did Austin's rebellion come to light? Who dated you? You really rebelled. X2. In one sentence, the tense and serious atmosphere in the room disappeared instantly. Austin rolled his eyes wildly, telling Wayne not to talk nonsense. He looked up at the sky, played with the ancient silver coin and said, the barrier of the manor comes from the Ministry of Magic. Although I have made some changes, it is only a matter of time before it is broken by the Ministry of Magic. Be prepared for battle. The devil has the containers of the 7 demon kings, the void egg, and the forgotten of the Red Leaf Forest lunatic asylum. Austin narrated the intelligence and analyzed the means that the devil might have. He can defeat the Holy Light Knights alone, and his own strength is equally strong. According to the reliable information provided by the Knights' leader Herman, the devil calls himself Gain and is the familiar of the Night Tyrant Cetolas. At night, his ability will be greatly enhanced. As he spoke, the black mucus spewed by the void egg corroded the defensive barrier, and groups of white meat foam penetrated the gap and fell from a height of 100 meters. The rain like white touched the lawn, the woods, and the roof of the big house villa, quickly gathered towards the nearest center, and one by one anthropomorphic white creatures stood up. The defensive barrier still exists, but it ignores the anthropomorphic life forms discharged by the void egg. As Austin said, there are traitors in the upper echelons of the Ministry of Magic. The Landau family's magic defense has been figured out by the other party and has become a dispensable appearance. Austin held the ancient silver coin tightly, looking at the potholes on the lawn, his face gloomy. Diamond suit TT Kappa and diamond suit O. Whoever's house is demolished, his face is not good. Wayne was also furious. After Austin's 100 years, these are all his property. Rounding it off, it is equivalent to demolishing his house in front of him. Megan stayed behind Austin without leaving, and subconsciously looked at the hostess SPHY without waiting for the order to attack. As the chief steward of the Landau family, Megan cares about this family very much. SPHY shook her head. Don't worry, let's wait and see, the enemy's trump card has not been revealed yet. The implication is that Megan is the trump card of the Landau family. Wayne looked at Megan curiously, blinked, and sent a puzzled look to Veronica. Veronica sent a puzzled look to him. What's the situation with the housekeeper? X2. You are the eldest lady, you ask me? How did you become the heir? You don't know anything, what's the use of you? The two stared at each other, the distance was very close, and they only needed a head-pressing team. Pa! A ball of white was lying in front of the window, roaring at Austin's twisted face at close range. At the window position, the magic circle halo barrier unfolded, blocking the ball of white outside the window. The monster hit it fiercely a few times, but failed to break through the defense. Its body disintegrated into wriggling white foam, which penetrated a little bit and squeezed into the barrier. Wayne stepped forward, waved his hand to push away the high-temperature flames, and burned the white foam flowing in front of the window into ashes. The curtains also burned. Austin rolled his eyes at Wayne and blurted out, "The maintenance fee will be deducted from your pocket money." "I still have pocket money." Wayne's eyes widened. He has pocket money, how could he not know? Austin turned his head and pretended to be deaf and dumb, pretending that nothing had happened. "Megan, where is my pocket money?" "The master deposited it into your account separately, but he didn't tell you the account," Megan said truthfully. "It's absurd. Not only do you take kickbacks from the Death Knight, but you also take kickbacks from me." Wayne was furious and rolled up his sleeves to argue with Austin. At this moment, the white foam spewed by the void egg fell from the sky like a waterfall, rumbling into the woods and grass, stirring up a 10-meter white wave, and rolling towards the big house. Megan's eyes were fierce. Seeing Austin nod, she turned over and jumped off the windowsill, raised her hands, and used her mind to create an invisible barrier to block the rising white waves. The temperature of the barrier was extremely high, and the distorted air emitted heat waves. When the white wave touched it, a large amount of stinking smoke was instantly stirred up, and the disordered and mixed noises sounded sharply, stinging everyone's nerves. In order to prevent the big house behind her from being ignited by the high temperature, Megan set up a barrier again. The air between the two barriers was instantly emptied. Looking down from a high place, Sci-fi saw that the waves were getting more and more fierce, and a little green bloomed in her eyes. The fluctuations of life spread with her thoughts, crossed the barrier cast by Megan, and dropped 8 giant seeds in the sky. Surrounded by the light of life, these seeds fell into the white foam wave. The moment they were polluted by the void, they frantically extracted the vitality in the white foam, making themselves take root, sprout and grow vigorously. Wayne looked out and saw that one by one, the thick vines of 100 meters drilled out of the white sea, and the green leaves sprouted, growing pleasingly. But in the blink of an eye, the fist-sized fruits became 2 meters in diameter, and then rotted quickly, and more seeds fell into the white sea. Extracting vitality from the body of the void beast, the natural faith magic is as weird as usual. Wayne can be sure that this is not ordinary faith magic, it involves divine arts and has a very high faith component. Fighting in her own territory, she was hindered everywhere. Sci-fi was furious. She was not in the mood to defend blindly. She turned over and jumped out of the window, using the magic to summon the projection of the goddess of nature. Buzz buzz buzz. The piercing scream suddenly spread out, and the world in Sci-fi's eyes was upside down. She and Megan fell to the sky below, where the void egg was. Looking at the big house in the distance, Sci-fi's pupils shrank suddenly, and she realized that she had been fooled. Roar roar roar. Beside her, Megan's body slowly expanded, and the high-temperature white mist expanded rapidly, and the shadow covered a large area of space. The next second, a huge white dragon claw stretched out and caught Sci-fi in the palm of his hand. This is a giant dragon with white scales all over its body. It is more than 100 meters long. The streamlined body is full of beauty and not bloated. At the center of its eyebrows, hundreds of bright red scales are particularly conspicuous, forming a complex pattern together. Megan, the enemy's target is not you. We are exiled. Break through the space barrier in front. 11 Faye flipped over and jumped. After a few flashes, she came to the back of the dragon. White scales attached to her palms. Her eyes turned into vertical pupils. The long spears and swords made of 4 elements were arranged behind her, spreading out like a peacock's tail. Dragon Knight. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 216. The giant dragon flapped its wings and dived, its wings cutting through the airwaves, making a roaring and whistling sound. In front of it, the rock-solid space barrier was struck by thunder and exploded from the center with a bang. The dense cracks extended in all directions. Although they did not explode directly, they were already in a state of collapse as a whole. As the giant dragon swept its tail, the space barrier was shattered until it turned into powder. Hualala. The white flesh sea blocked the road, and tentacles rose high and surrounded from all sides, blocking the body of the giant dragon and blocking all the ways out. The giant dragon slowly opened its mouth, and hot air overflowed. As the temperature rose rapidly, a violent high-temperature flame sprayed down. The flame column cut through the cold darkness, and the strong light shone in the sky. The thick flesh tentacles melted and broke like paper paste. The giant dragon rushed into the white foam sea, either spewing dragon breath or opening its bloody mouth to bite off the tentacles in front of it. The highly polluting starry sky flesh and blood was swallowed by the dragon and digested as food in an instant, which could not change its life essence. High in the sky, or the bottom of the inverted space, the mysterious man hid near the void egg, looking at the unstoppable dragon, and exclaimed, "It is worthy of being the highest masterpiece of the Ministry of Magic. It is born with the ability comparable to that of a demigod, and its life level is not afraid of void pollution. It's a pity that her birth was just an accident, and it is impossible to replicate, and she only listens to the words of the Austen couple." Strictly speaking, Megan is not a dragon. Like Aubin and Yulia, she is a magical life with self-awareness. The difference is that Aubin was forged by the Book of Greed, Yulia was a creation given to the Death Knight by the goddess of death, and Megan's origin is unknown, suspected to be from the Void Star realm. The mysterious man vaguely remembered that about 16 years ago, the Ministry of Magic exhausted all its strength and dispatched almost all legendary wizards to cooperate around the topic of artificial dragons and created an unprecedented miracle of life. Created a dragon. The newly born female dragon is more than 15 meters long and is still a baby. It has powerful thinking and terrifying destructive power, but no corresponding wisdom. It is like a time bomb that explodes at any time, which makes the high-level officials of the Ministry of Magic worried and once wanted to seal it. Unfortunately, it cannot be sealed. The birth of the dragon is purely accidental. The same steps are given to the Ministry of Magic 100 times, and they cannot copy the second dragon. They have to settle for a second choice to get a batch of dragon blood transformation bodies. The only thing the Ministry of Magic can do is to bury a magic bomb in the heart of the dragon. Once the dragon goes berserk, it will be killed immediately. In the following year, legendary wizards licked in various ways, trying to contract the dragon as their own magical life. All failed, licking in vain. Until a man named Austin stood up and took the dragon home with a few sweet words. From then on, the Landau family had an intern maid named Megan. Austin was very good at deceiving women. He was a famous playboy of the Tulip family. His most brilliant achievement was that in addition to deceiving dragons, he also deceived the queen when she was a princess. If the king at that time had not strongly opposed it, Playboy would have succeeded. Although he did not succeed, whether he got the queen's first blood is still an unsolved case. You can't ask the prince. Besides, the prince has died of illness, and you can't find anyone to ask. The reason why Austin was able to trick Meghan home was not only that Playboy really understood girls, Meghan was young and ignorant, and mistook her big brother for a good person, but also because of Mrs. Landor's SPHY. Meghan's humanoid high imitation of SPHY, almost one-to-one copy, is the best proof. Maybe it was the dragon blood that attracted each other, or maybe SPHY's blood was added when the dragon was artificially created, and the truth is no longer traceable. In short, Meghan ignored the legendary wizard of the Ministry of Magic, followed Austin wholeheartedly, and became a regular maid from an intern, and was promoted all the way, and finally squeezed out FLA and became the steward of the Landor family. By the way, he also served as Austin's secretary, lover, and so on. The legendary wizards believed that Austin succeeded, and this guy was the Dragon Knight. Because the life level did not match, he did not give birth to a little dragon. What a bastard, she was still a teenage girl. Siffy was different. Meghan was pure and innocent, and her husband turned back. Even though they had been separated for many years, she still believed that she was not cuckolded. Let's get back to the point. The dragon was submerged by the White Sea, rushing forward and unstoppable, and efficiently killing the product of the void egg. Behind him, the dragon knight Siffy threw a spear and a big sword. The green divine light illuminated the place, and the vines took root and sprouted, depriving the void of vitality and growing vigorously. The shadow of the goddess of nature danced with her robe, suppressing the White Sea from being shaped. But because of the existence of the void egg, the White Sea was endless, and no matter how one person and one dragon attacked, there were more white meat foam to fill the gap. The big house of Landau Manor rose rapidly and disappeared at this time. The dragon's eyes glowed red, and the terrifying high-temperature rays cut through the space, breaking a space channel in the White Sea. The space was dark and gloomy. 11 Faye was keenly aware of something wrong, and comforted Meghan not to act rashly. She opened the natural eye of the contract, lowered her head and saw the shadow of the mysterious man near the void egg. Found it? Roar, roar, roar. The dragon flapped its wings and rushed down, once again smashing the space barrier blocking the road, with a fierce momentum that was daunting. The mysterious man had no intention of fighting. It was no good for him to provoke the two dragons. The strategic goal of separating Dragon Blood and Austin was achieved. He retreated and merged into the void egg, disappearing without a trace. The dragon vented its anger on the void egg, smashed the magic barrier, and plunged into the black cavity at the tip of the void egg. At the same time, the two black heads in the study stared at each other, and even the not-so-smart golden head saw that Meghan and SPHY had fallen into the trap and were exiled to another space by the enemy one after another. Click. The minute hand of the clock on the wall turned, and the time pointed to 7 o'clock in the evening. The space fluctuations around a few people instantly distorted. Wayne grabbed Veronica without saying a word and held her in his arms. Austin came forward with the ancient silver coin, pressed Wayne's shoulder and begged him to take it, but the latter refused and kicked his legs. Wayne, teacher and Megan are fighting hard with the enemy for the future of the family. Can't you, the head of the family, stand up? Austin, it's not good to act separately. It will only fall into the enemy's trick. Sphy and Megan have been fooled, and I can't be fooled again. Wayne, get out of here, don't bother me protecting Veronica, she and I are the future of the family. Austin, I am the head of the family now, I have the final say. Wayne put his elbow against Austin's neck and pushed him out. Austin held Wayne tightly, his face was squeezed crooked, and he was determined not to let go. Father's sons roar.jpg. Veronica rolled her eyes. None of the men in the Landau family were reliable. Not jumping out of the window just now was her biggest mistake. If possible, she didn't want to be alone with two trash cans. Click. Minutes moved slowly, the space fluctuations stabilized, and the three returned to the study. Wayne retracted his elbow, and Austin retracted his hand. They each tidied their messy back hair and said nothing about the scene just now. Veronica. Where did the biological father and son come from? Tell me, am I picked up? Veronica pushed Wayne away, frowned and reached out to take the family photo frame on the desk. With a click, she broke the entire desk. The photo frame seemed to be welded to the table. Not only that, all the movable objects, sofas, chairs, teacups, were now fixed. It's a spatial projection. Be careful. The Ministry of Magic has various means. We are not in Randall Manor now. After taking care of his image, the ancient silver coin danced between his fingers like a butterfly. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Wayne. The enemy, no, the devil deliberately led He and Megan away, which means that the real target is in this room. It's not me, nor Veronica, Wayne, it can only be you. Wayne has many secrets. Austin knows some, but not much. Although the crisis is extremely serious, it is a rare opportunity. How could it be for me? Wayne hugged Veronica in fear, his heart slightly jumped. Don't say it, it's really possible. The devil came from Paris across the ocean, aiming directly at the Death Knight. He tried but couldn't beat him, so he lay dormant for 3 or 5 days, plundered the Ministry of Magic's stolen goods, and made full preparations before challenging the Death Knight. Coincidentally, the Death Knight was in Landau Manor. Unconsciously, Wayne's forehead was sweating. The logic was smooth and well-founded, and he couldn't find any reason to refute. So, his identity as the Death Knight was exposed. No, he hid so deeply, there was no reason to. Got it? Wayne's eyes shrank suddenly, and he took a breath of cold air. It was the Dullahan, who betrayed him. The devil knew from the beginning that the Death Knight was Wayne. Damn bastard, didn't he just play with your sword and ride your horse? Look at your narrow-mindedness. What's wrong with Yulia practicing skills outside? In the end, it's all for your own good. Wayne gnashed his teeth and secretly hated the Dullahan for not keeping his word. Little did he know that his expression was all seen by Austin, who remained calm. Wayne, why did the devil come to you? This is crucial. Tell me quickly, otherwise our whole family will suffer. Wayne's face suddenly changed. He was willing to believe Veronica and Austin. Putting aside personal grudges, Austin was a trustworthy person. But just saying the identity of the Death Knight. Wayne, I will protect you. Veronica did not push Wayne away, and looked into his eyes firmly. The straightforward love words made Wayne's heart beat. He took a deep breath. Okay, I did hide some secrets, because they were too outrageous. Boom. The wall was smashed, and a black shadow with wings on its back slowly floated in. Who dares to ruin my good deeds? Austin was furious. He was just one step away from knowing the biggest secret of the small trash can. The three looked at it at the same time, and then they were all stunned. Several pale figures in hospital gowns staggered into the study room. Their swollen subcutaneous veins were black, their eyes were bloodshot, and their bloodless translucent skin and mucus oozing out of their pores made them look like zombies. It was still warm and fresh. They were not zombies. Their chaotic thoughts fluctuated in disorder. Their faces showed a pilgrim-like piety, and their bones were filled with extreme madness. The Forgotten. A magician who peeked into the void and was contaminated by the knowledge of the astral world. Behind the 7 or 8 Forgotten, the real protagonist was suspended in the air, with black wings spread out behind him, curved horns on his head, square pupils like goats, and reverse-jointed legs. The visitor was extremely beautiful, with charming eyes that were deep and seductive, and skin as smooth and delicate as porcelain. Her long golden wavy hair was draped down, showing her enchantment while just covering her tall and plump body. She is tall and well proportioned, with extremely graceful curves, a slender waist, and a round and straight downward arc. Behind her, a long scorpion-like tail wraps around her long white legs, creating a mysterious realm that makes people eager to take a peek. At the same time, the white flesh of her legs is tightened, making her sexy, plump, and round. Succubus. Gudu, X3. The three of them swallowed at the same time. This girl looks like that. After Wayne swallowed, he realized something was wrong. He lowered his head and glared at Veronica, hating her and saying, "Wake up, your fiancé is still here, how can you swallow other women?" Veronica came back to her senses, thought of the gaffe she had just made, and subconsciously apologized, lowering her head to admit her mistake and saying that she would not dare to do it again next time. After saying that, he remembered that he didn't have a fiancé at all, and then glared at Wayne, "You swallowed your saliva too, you are dirty, shameless, and lustful, please let go." "You heard wrong, it wasn't me." Wayne put the pot on Austin with his backhand and said angrily, "I heard it. You just swallowed your saliva. It's obscene. I will tell the teacher to wait for you to die." Austin's expression changed, and his whole face turned dark. He. The succubus, no, the vessel of the Lord of Lust in the human world chuckled softly, filling the whole room with its terrifying charm ability along with body fragrance, attacking indiscriminately, and the oblivious ones who fell into madness could not help but show their obsession. Austin and Veronica's hearts beat rapidly, unable to resist the charm of the succubus, and both were confused. Wayne did not. The so-called charm is equivalent to a spiritual attack. It is an invisible pollution of the mind. It is essentially the same type as the omnipresent whisper of knowledge in the universe and the rewards and blessings of the ancient gods. He can reject the pollution of the astral world, withstand the blessings of ancient gods, and his tough mind is enough to resist the temptation of succubi. Not only that, he can in turn pollute the high priest Philomena, causing her to jump repeatedly between the elves and tentacles, subtly changing Philomena's inner body into his shape. Rounding it all off, who isn't a succubus? Seeing that Wayne was not affected, the succubus was slightly surprised. She smiled and raised her hand to give him a slight hook. Veronica and Austin walked toward her uncontrollably. Wayne held Veronica down and said viciously, "Austin, if you dare to take another step forward, I guarantee that the teacher will beat you to death." Austin shivered, and his shirt was soaked with cold sweat on his back. He suddenly woke up and took 2 consecutive steps back to protect Wayne. "Damn it, this is my signature move." Wayne had a look of disgust on his face and protected his own people in front of him when something happened. Megan's eyesight was so bad that she would not like a married woman like this. It would be better to just pick someone on the street blindfolded. He lowered his head and kissed Veronica hard on the face. "Wake up quickly, Willie kissed your fiancée and even stuck out her tongue. She dares." Veronica's eyes widened with anger, and she looked around for Willie. Wayne happily protected her behind him, and said in a nonchalant way, "You two are too lustful to resist the temptation of the succubus, I will do it." "So, why do you resist the temptation of the succubus?" Alston asked in his heart. The succubus in front of him was no ordinary thing. The royal family had received the promise of hell, an almost perfect body descended from the master of lust. There is another reason why he can resist the charm. What does Wayne rely on? Is it just the original bloodline that imitates the evolution of the ancient gods? Maybe, but there must be other reasons. Austin held the ancient silver coin tightly, and the more he thought about it, the more annoyed he became. He was just a little short of revealing the secret in the small trash can. Veronica stood next to Austin with her eyes closed, white scales appeared on her arms, still unable to resist the fatal temptation of the succubus, let alone facing the succubus. Even if she heard the other party's voice and smelled the fragrance in the air, she felt the mouth becomes dry and the heart speeds up uncontrollably. The succubus was very satisfied with Veronica's performance and glanced at Austin with a slightly confused look. "You are indeed weird to be able to escape my control. I am here for you and show your true ability." Wayne paused and pricked his ears, waiting for Austin's reply. It was wrong to blame the headless horseman. The devil did not come for the death knight. The pure man said nothing. Even if it was his victim who betrayed him, he still chose to hide his identity. "Don't worry, headless horseman, Yulia will be happy." Austin sneered, "I didn't get rid of your control. On the contrary, I was completely addicted to your charm. Everyone has a love for beauty. There is nothing to be ashamed of." While comforting Veronica, he said, "But compared to your charm, I love my wife more. Her charm surpasses yours, that's all." Veronica was quite moved and was very moved. Wayne curled his lips. It was the first time he heard someone talk about henpecked in such a sober and refined manner. Unfortunately, it was too late. He could see clearly that the look on Austin's face just now was clearly that of a succubus. "Bah, vile. No, your ability to escape my control has nothing to do with your wife. I represent the most primitive desire deep in your heart. No one can replace it. You may be able to escape temporarily, but you will not stay awake forever." The succubus smiled and pointed at Veronica. "She is the most normal. You two are different and both are weird. I knew there was something wrong with this kid. X2. Austin did not speak, just pretending not to hear anything. Wayne launched a sneak attack. A bit of green spread from his fingertips, and parasitic spores fell on the bodies of the 8 forgotten people, relying on each other's vitality to thrive. The effect was average. Although they were crazy, they did gain unprecedented knowledge and retain their sharp fighting instincts before dementia. At the moment when the spores fell, they each used their own means to extinguish them. Wayne's sneak attack failed, and he confirmed that Austin was not as useless as he looked. He simply let him protect Veronica, leaving an afterimage on the spot and heading straight for a forgotten. Boom! A hole opened in the wall of the study, and Wayne returned with the other's head. In the corridor, the headless body was still dancing, and the head held by Wayne turned its eyes. The mind did not dissipate, and it cast magic with a grim smile. Swish! 8 invisible spikes penetrated down, and the spears formed by the wind element pierced Wayne's body, head, chest, abdomen, and thighs, nailing him to the ground. Fatal injuries, even medical miracles could not save him. Veronica opened her eyes in fear. Her little face was pale, and she was stunned. Wayne's wound did not bleed. 3 seconds later, his body was as transparent as if he walked out of the wind element spear. The highly plastic body made Austin frown secretly. The ability of being in the shape of the void, without madness, can be explained by the evolution of the ancient gods. This is not the result he wants. Wayne secretly thought that it was bad luck. Old Deng did not do anything, and watched him die once, and also made Veronica frightened for 3 seconds. This guy. How many secrets does he hide? X2. What should I do to make him reveal himself? X2. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 217. Veronica was somewhat concerned, and seeing that Wayne was fine, with no wounds on his torn clothes, she quickly closed her eyes. It wasn't because she saw something, but because the succubus in her peripheral vision was too eye-catching, emitting fatal temptation all the time. Wayne picked up the head of the Forgotten and threw it at the succubus. The moment the head was out of his hand, the hair on the head stretched out and entangled, tightly tied to Wayne's wrist. These hairs were formed by the chaotic thoughts of the Forgotten, and the crazy thoughts changed the body, making the Forgotten itself move closer to the void. Reference case, the legendary wizard Marshall, the egg seller. The long hair of the Forgotten was like a living thing, entwining Wayne's arm, the hair drilled into the skin, looking for blood and flesh to parasitize, making Wayne's arm bulge with meridians, and earthworms wriggling under the skin. Wayne raised his hand and looked at the head hanging on his hand. The pious facial features of the Forgotten One blurred, and a lump of brain was squeezed out of the body, and the hair turned into white flesh foam, and poured into Wayne's body. On the other side, the headless body that lost its head hugged Wayne from behind, and its body disintegrated into white foam, blending with Wayne's skin, sticking together like glue. Roar, roar, roar. Under the control of the succubus, the remaining Forgotten Ones rushed forward. All of them expelled their brains and abandoned their last sanity. Their flesh, blood, bones and internal organs disintegrated into white foam, drowning Wayne's hands, feet, and body, and wrapping him into a big white meatball. "Austin, save me!" Wayne shouted, and then he screamed. His whole face was submerged in white foam, and he was completely motionless. Veronica was shocked, faith magic overflowed from her fingertips, and she rushed forward to save people. Austin did not stop him, and watched his daughter rush into the white meatball expressionlessly, playing with the ancient silver coins, without panic at all. The Forgotten One fell into the void, abandoned the last of his sanity, and allowed the knowledge of the void to change himself. In the research topic of the Ministry of Magic, this process is called evolution. An uncontrollable wrong evolution. Knowledge makes the mind crazy, and then through the mind, the essence of life is reshaped. The silver cross and the golden triangle, all balances are completely collapsed. At this time, the magician is nothing, a complete failure of evolution, and is called the void wanderer by the magic world. Wandering in the gap between the human world and the void, homeless, only knowing to follow instinct to eat and devour. According to the assumption of the research topic, the wanderer who has been transferred from the Forgotten One still has the possibility of being awake. After the wrong evolution, the wanderer still has an evolutionary path. Starry Sky Beast. The wanderer uses itself as a pollution source, and drags the parasitic life into chaos through chaotic thinking, that is, devouring, assimilating, and merging, combining many chaotic thoughts together, until it is completely integrated into the void universe and becomes a life form that can walk in the ocean of knowledge. There has always been only one life form that is not affected by the void, the Starry Sky Beast. Of course, the above is only a hypothesis. Neither Planck, an expert on the Forgotten, nor Born, an expert on the Starry Sky Beast, have witnessed the complete evolution process. Throwing the wanderer into the void, the latter's mind is polluted by knowledge again. The length of time they persist varies, but the end result is that the mind collapses and the body dissipates. Maybe there is something missing. Let's get back to the point. The wanderer's pollution ability is extremely strong, second only to the flesh and blood of the void universe and the Starry Sky Beast, but if you say that it pollutes Wayne's mind, Austin will never believe it. The evolutionary root of the proto-bloodline is modeled after the ancient gods. No matter how much the wanderer has, it can't change anything. To describe it with a sentence recognized by the magic world, low-level evolution cannot affect high-level evolution. Austin has the best example around him, dragon blood. As the high priest of the Church of Nature, Sci-fi masters the faith magic of many life alliances, nature, sun, moonlight, more or less, but her evolutionary route has not been an elf from the beginning, and she has been steadily advancing in strict accordance with the root of dragon blood. Dragons are higher than elves. Of course, whether it is pollution or evolution, they all strictly follow the iron law that the strong will always be strong. The dragon is higher than the elves? It depends on what dragon and what elf. If it is a goddess-level elf who personally guides the direction, Sci-fi's dragon blood is not enough. As far as Austin knows, Wayne bets his own original bloodline on the ancient god. Even if it is just imitating the shape, even if it is only copying a few appearance features, the wanderer cannot pollute it. You don't have that ability to know. So, at first glance, Wayne is surrounded by wanderers, but in fact, it is not certain who is surrounding whom. Wayne wants to force Austin to take action and show his true side, and Austin knows it well. He thinks so too. He is one step slower than Wayne and did not rush to the forgotten in the first time. Looking at the succubus on the opposite side who is eager to try, Austin holds the ancient silver coin tightly. The enemy is very powerful. Without Megan to escort him, he, a weak silver mage, will most likely be locked up in the basement as a star slave by the opponent. Fortunately, it is not a big problem. Austin had been prepared for similar dilemmas and tailored a series of plans to deal with the situation when Megan was not present. His ability was simple and crude, and he had money. A dark light flickered in Austin's eyes, and he pushed open the curtain of the dark realm behind him, and a deck of playing cards fell into his palm. Each of the normal-sized playing cards was a magic prop, with the tulip family emblem of the Landau family painted on the back, forged from the magic materials accumulated by Austin's years of corruption, years of settling accounts. The dark realm unique to the Golden Mage. The succubus looked at Austin in surprise, and glanced at the poker in his hand. As far as I know, you are just a silver mage and have no ability to open the portable domain. No, I have always been a silver mage. I can open the dark domain because I have money, Austin explained. Inside the meatball, Wayne nodded repeatedly, so Laudeng is a gold mage at least. In Wayne's arms, Veronica was covered with her mouth, hesitating to say something. The meatball is one-way transparent, from the inside to the outside, you can see the external scene clearly. On the one hand, you are curious about the secrets of your father, and on the other hand, you are annoyed that the two social scums are fighting each other. Don't talk, just watch the show. Austin should be a very powerful magician. Wayne blew in Veronica's ear, you can open your eyes. Here, you will not be affected by the temptation of the succubus. Veronica tried to open her eyes, and it was true. She looked at the succubus curiously and saw it clearly. She has long breasts and legs and is not wearing clothes. Bad woman. Why aren't you affected by the succubus? I said before, I don't like women. Then why are you so close? Veronica lowered her head and stared at the right hand pressing on her left chest without saying a word. First of all, this is not her hand. Secondly, how long will it be pressed? Sorry, I'm sorry to bother you. If you don't get closer, you will be affected by the succubus and the chaotic thoughts around you. Wayne took back his right hand that was used to help the poor, and replaced it with his left hand to press on Veronica's right chest, as if nothing had happened. Watch the show, it's Laudeng's turn, he draws a card. I didn't expect that he is also a card player. Who is Laudeng? Veronica moved her hand away from her chest. Your father? In the field, Austin skillfully cut the playing cards with the poker cards, and said calmly, as far as I know, you are the demon vessel collected by the royal family in St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, representing the Lord of Lust in Hell. Some time ago, you were taken away by Gain, the servant of the night tyrant Cetolas. The servant came for the Death Knight, and left the Death Knight alone, sending you to attack me. Seeing that you acted as if nothing had happened and gave me time to cut the cards, can I think that the traitors of the Ministry of Magic have formed an alliance with the servants, and their status in the alliance is higher than that of the servants? The enemy is not the devil, but the Ministry of Magic. Austin was not angry at all. Experts fight internally, and outsiders fight externally. This principle is the same everywhere, and he has long been used to it. The succubus smiled slightly, loosened the scorpion tail wrapped around her legs, removed the absolute domain, and crossed her two long white legs front and back. Inside the meatball, Veronica raised her hand to block Wayne's eyes, warning him not to look around. Austin saw it too. "I'll tell my mother, someone will take care of him. Then I'll have no problem." Wayne's eyes were blocked by Veronica, and he couldn't see anything. Outside the meatball, a tentacle stretched out, and the end squirmed and turned into an eyeball. It's worthy of being a succubus, and it's in his aesthetic taste. This big real leg. Austin ignored the temptation of the succubus and cut the cards calmly. "You can keep silent, and I can also assume that the traitor of the Ministry of Magic is hiding in the dark and watching. He dare not show up and will not meet me. Everything tonight is a test and intelligence collection. I can reveal some information to him, such as the luck of the Landau family. I don't know if there is a goddess of luck in the world, but the members of the Landau family have always had good luck." Austin finished cutting the cards. This deck of playing cards has 54 cards, 4 colors from 1 to 10, a total of 40 cards, representing the 4 elements of earth, fire, water, and wind. Elements: I will seal the 4 elements of magic according to their destructive power. 10 is the strongest and 1 is the weakest. Then there are 12 cards of the prince, queen, and king, and 2 big and small joker cards, which are higher than the 4 elements of magic. They correspond to different beliefs, and each one is expensive. Austin drew a card, smiled slightly, and showed it to the succubus. "See, my luck has always been good." The back of the card is the family emblem of the Landau family, and the front is marked with the spade K, which is the king. There is a dead knight riding a warhorse, representing the belief of death, that is, the Death Knight. Austin closed his eyes, extracted the 4 elements from the ancient silver coin, injected the spade K, and made the projection of the Death Knight real. In the study, the Death Knight riding the undead warhorse held a great sword in his hand, wearing black armor, the skull eye sockets jumped white light, and the death cloak danced. Very realistic. It is so realistic that Wayne can't find any fault. The moment the Death Knight appeared, Austin's face turned pale, and beads of sweat fell, and his breathing became rapid. "You are not the real Lord of Lust, and your divine power is limited. He is not the real Death Knight either. You two are the perfect opponents." As he said that, Austin drew another red 8 and set up a wind element barrier beside him. He was panting even harder. Veronica felt very distressed, and elbowed Wayne in the waist and abdomen, asking him to go out and help. "You haven't made any progress, so you read the diary in vain. Open your eyes and see clearly, Austin is clearly lying to you. Unlike me, I have been serious and honest since I was a child, and I will only tell you the truth." Wayne stepped on Austin to praise himself. Veronica looked disgusted. Who would write a diary if they were serious? Or a future diary? At this time, the Death Knight had already fought with the succubus, and she hurriedly looked over, not wanting to miss any details. The Death Knight charged on horseback, and the knight's sword slashed the succubus's neck. As a magical life, it could not resist the charm of the succubus, and the slash was slow, showing a great compassion for the beauty. Austin shook his head and said, "The so-called Death Knight is nothing but a pervert." Wayne. "Although, you really guessed it right." The succubus swung its long tail to hold the knight's sword, and the hook at the tip of the tail was entangled, rubbing against the knight's sword to burst a string of sparks. The undead warhorse under the knight's seat jumped up with its front hooves and stepped heavily on the two center points of the succubus. The target was too conspicuous, and the warhorse subconsciously took it as an attack target. The front hoof fell heavily, stepping through the chest of the succubus, and the latter faded and disappeared, and came behind the death knight like teleporting, spreading its wings and hanging in the air, and the whip kick swept down with pink fragrance. Gudu, X3. I saw it. X3. The whip kick hit the skull of the death knight, and the latter's body did not move, not even shaking, which showed the difference in strength. The power of the succubus may be average, mainly featuring a light voice and a soft body, but as the vessel of the Lord of Lust in the world, and a configuration of the royal exclusive level, her divine power cannot be underestimated. Moreover, the mysterious man also strengthened the divine power in her body. The moment the whip leg and the skull head touched, pink gas rushed in, attached to the skeleton of the death knight, and turned the black armor pink. In an instant, the death knight stiffened on the spot, his body was out of control, and the white light in his eyes gradually turned pink. In addition, the warhorse under his crotch also became a captive of the succubus. The succubus floated in the air, and her body seemed to have no gravity. Without seeing her dancing wings, she calmly came to the death knight, raised her hand to lift the other's white-boned chin, and kissed him gently on the forehead. "Go, my knight, cut off Austin's head." In the meatball, Wayne was extremely envious. If he had said there was a benefit earlier, he, the Death Knight, would be willing to replace the fake with the real one. Remember the succubus's abilities, they may come in handy in the future. Suddenly, his waist hurt, and Veronica elbowed him again. He answered quickly, "No need for help, Austin can handle it. If you don't believe me, let's make a bet. If you lose, I kiss you, and if you win, you kiss me." "Who told you this?" Veronica gritted her teeth and said, "You just swallowed your saliva, you can see outside. You are quite smart at this time. Speak. Now is not the time to talk about this. If you say it again, it's as if you didn't swallow your saliva." The Death Knight was controlled by the succubus, and the white light in the skeleton's eye sockets turned into a beating pink heart. He turned his horse's head and pointed the sword at Austin. The succubus sat sideways on the horse's back, wrapped her arms around the Death Knight's waist, and her soft body pressed against him, making the Death Knight's soul fly away. Use softness to overcome hardness. It's all over when it's big. Austin looked calm, not showing any anger at the Death Knight's betrayal. He said calmly, "You empty-headed fellow, it can betray me, and it will betray you too. If it were me, I would never sit so close to it." The succubus chuckled, looked at Austin with seductive eyes, and raised her finger to her lips. "I'm more looking forward to you betraying your wife. Do you want to try? I was born from the power of the Lord of Lust, and I'm the most perfect masterpiece of the female body." Gulp, X3. If it weren't for the fact that the skeleton had no salivary glands, not to mention the Death Knight, even the undead warhorse would have swallowed saliva. As expected, Wayne was elbowed again. Austin lit up the spade K in his hand, and the gray mist painted on the front slowly dissipated, projecting into the present world. The Death Knight was surrounded by death, washing away the pink love in his eyes. The white light was cold and ruthless, and the knight's sword was inserted into the heart. Puff. Blood splattered. The Death Knight was so thin that only a bag of bones remained, and no blood could spurt out. The knight's sword pierced through the bone gap and hit the succubus behind him. Even though the succubus obeyed the traffic law and rode a horse with an airbag, the knight's sword still pierced her chest. She screamed, and her sharp voice turned into sound waves, shattering the space in the study, breaking the mirror, and falling into darkness with everyone in the field. At the end of the darkness was the large lawn of the Landau Manor, with a large house and a small forest on the left and right sides, and the view was particularly wide. The succubus looked painful, holding her chest and floating in the air. The gray dead air and short whiskers pierced through the wound, consuming the vitality of the succubus, causing the wound to repeatedly pull between healing and white bones and rotten flesh. She used her limited divine power to completely expel the death of the wound. The succubus did not attack again, looking down at the Death Knight guarding Austin, frowning slightly, and swinging her long tail hook to tear open a black curtain. A pair of sharp claws stretched out from it, tearing the space portal to pieces. A humanoid figure over 5 meters tall walked out upright, with a slender body, dark blue scales all over the body, black lines all over it, a python-like head, and 8 octopus tails behind it. The main symbol of the Lord of Jealousy in the human world is snakes, as are cats and dogs. The container in front of me was mainly shaped with snakes as a reference. As for the octopus tail, it may be that the Lord of Jealousy is described as a sea monster that devours everything in the Encyclopedia of Hell. Buzz buzz buzz. A large fly over 10 meters long flew out, and it was obvious at a glance that it was the Lord of Gluttony's container in the human world. The Lord of Gluttony's symbols also include tigers and pigs, not necessarily flies, and there are many types of flies. You can't think of rice fields when you mention flies. There are also many flies that are blood-sucking creatures. Looking at the sharp mouthparts of this big fly, we can know that its staple food is not rice. The main body of the Lord of Gluttony in the human world is a big fly, and the tentacles are human hands and feet. There are a lot of them, crowded under the abdomen. When flying, the hands and feet shake. If you do nothing, you will be a pollution source that makes people's sanity go crazy. Veronica was disgusted and lowered her head to vomit twice. Let me make it clear first, it has nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything. Wayne made a dirty joke. Veronica didn't understand it, but she knew he didn't say anything good, so she elbowed him without thinking. 3 containers surrounded the perimeter, and it was Austin's turn to draw cards again. He waved his hand and took out a red queen, projecting a figure wearing golden armor and holding a sword without any gaps from head to toe, the Sun Knight. Wayne looked closely, and the full body armor tightly covered the body of the Sun Knight, making it impossible to recognize his face. He held the sun flame in his hand, and behind him was a fiery red cloak like a banner fluttering. The figure is burly, with broad shoulders and long arms, and it is not expected to be a woman. Austin, are you not going to summon another knight, or is your luck over? The succubus smiled. 3 to 3, just right. Austin pointed to the meatball where Wayne was hiding, the heir of the Landau family, and also a knight of the Landau family. He is very powerful. Halfway through the words, the meatball danced with its tentacles and pounced on the Sun Knight. The confusing operation made the succubus unable to handle it. Austin had a dark face and drew 2 poker cards again. The King of Hearts, Moonlight Knight. The Big Ghost, Nature Knight. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 218. The Moon Knight wears silver armor, a long bow and a short sword. Like the Sun Knight, he has no mount. The armor is thin and light, not as heavy as Death or the Sun, but it outlines the curves of the body vividly, making it more like an elf hunter walking under the moonlight than a knight. Her facial features were very blurry, and the bright white moonlight covered her face like a mask. Her long platinum hair was tied behind her head. She was undoubtedly a woman. The natural knight's armor is also light, and his facial features are blurred into the image of a man. As the big ghost among the playing cards, it is also the strongest one. The moment the projection appears, there is a pressure that cannot be ignored. This sense of oppression is not felt by other knights. Austin didn't waste any time, and directly unlocked all the seals on the playing cards, allowing the knight to obtain the power of faith corresponding to his own, and use full firepower to face the 3 demon kings on the opposite side. Death, lust. Moonlight, jealousy. Naturally, gluttony. There is also the Sun Knight. Austin has unlocked the seal, allowing the Sun Knight to take down Wayne's disguised Void Meatball as soon as possible. Wayne of the Landau family was also involved. There was no reason for him to rush to the front and risk exposure, while Wayne hid behind and watched the fun. Hiss. 4 black curtains were torn apart, and 4 figures stepped out. The half-dragon and half-man symbolizing the Lord of Wrath, the Minotaur symbolizing the Lord of Sloth, and the Black Crow symbolizing the Lord of Greed were all present in the Advent vessels of the 6 Demon Kings in Windsor. The symbol of the arrogant Lord did not appear, and the mysterious man did not say anything nonsense. As a disciple of the arrogant Lord, he respected his master very much, so he transferred the arrogant Lord's container and hid it in another place. Among the 4 figures, the last one is Gain. The unlucky devil from hell. Not long after arriving in the human world, he married his new master and became a slave of 2 families. One is the Lord of the Night, Seth Oraz, who created him, and the other, Gain, doesn't know the identity of the other person, he only knows to follow the other person's orders. The 6 containers come with their own corresponding demonic powers, more than 5 in number. The powers interact with each other, and the inverted pentagram manifests, forming an energy field that flickers on and off, using the space in front of you as an anchor point to project the territory of hell. A magnificent lava world has changed. You only need to gather 5 of the 7 Demon Kings to recreate hell. That's it, the bandit leader, the arrogant Lord, hasn't shown up yet. Alston could tell at a glance that Gain was different, and he had a secret in his mind. When it came to his card drawing round, he drew cards and projected them continuously, and just managed to get him a 7-piece knight suit. Natural Knight, Big Ghost, Dark Knight, Little Ghost, Death Knight, K of Spades, Moon Knight, K of Hearts, Sun Knight, Q of Hearts, Heaven Knight, Q of Spades, Hell Knight, K of Spades, J. After the projection, Austin was panting like a dog, sweating profusely, and his legs were trembling and he could hardly stand still. Under Veronica's continuous elbows, Wayne was forced to give up the entanglement with the Sun Knight. The white tentacles squirmed and shrank to a 3-meter-tall faceless man. The crack in his chest was torn open, and a magic eye appeared. Opened suddenly. Wayne disappeared behind Veronica, not knowing that she had worn Wayne on her body. Through the crystal pupils in front of her, the world in front of her eyes was particularly clear. She gradually understood everything. Wayne was helpless and quickly vomited Veronica out. It is still unclear whether his influence is good or bad. There is already a victim, the High Priest Philomena, and the elves and tentacles are already very messed up, but they can't turn the dragon's blood into tentacles. Veronica landed with her feet on the ground, recalling her confusion just now, she couldn't help but shudder. She hurriedly came to Austin's side, holding her arms to prevent him from falling directly. A tentacle stretched out in front of the father and daughter, and his toothless mouth opened. Veronica, if Austin can persist, you must not be deceived by him. Veronica was so shocked by this operation that she had the chance to see Wayne fused with the Book of Greed, but Wayne didn't have tentacles at that time. After not seeing each other for more than half a year, he looked increasingly different. People. Austin was panting, Veronica, don't listen to Wayne's nonsense. He wants to tire me out and inherit the Landau family in advance. If I die today, remember, he is the real murderer. Veronica. It's this time, can't you be more serious? She punched Austin in the face, threw him over her shoulder, grabbed the tentacle and threw it away. Bang! The tentacles broke off immediately, and Wayne's miserable screams were heard. Veronica was going crazy, she didn't want to stay with the father and son, and vowed to follow He and Megan's footsteps next time. Austin Landau, Wayne Landau, you and your son are both on the list. Gain stepped forward, with no trace of confusion in his eyes. It was impossible to tell that his mind was controlled by the mysterious man. Behind him were the containers of the 6 Demon Kings, laughing that he was sure of himself. Guy Yin was in ragged clothes, his gentleman's hat was missing, he had a chicken coop hairstyle, and his gold-rimmed glasses were worn like a monocle. His hand holding a civilized stick was full of black mud, and he looked elegant no matter how he looked. High class has nothing to do with it. Wayne grunted, "You stinky out-of-towner came to London to beg for food. Why are you so crazy? My father, Austin, will blow the other side of your glasses right away." Austin's eyes twitched. This was the worst time in his life when he was blackmailed. Veronica raised her hands to cover her face and said angrily, "Brother Wayne, if you continue to talk nonsense, I swear I will strangle you to death with my own hands." Wayne shrugged and whispered, "I've been trying hard, okay. Didn't you notice that the temptation of the succubus is ineffective on you?" Veronica was stunned. It was true. Since she broke into the meatball, the temptation of the succubus was blocked, and she no longer felt blushing and heartbeat. She tried to look at the succubus. Gulp, X3. It turns out that good looking is good looking. Even if the mind is not affected, you still have to be greedy. Wayne spread his mind and blocked the mental pollution of the 6 containers. Not only the temptation of the succubus, but also the invasion of jealousy, rage, laziness, greed, and gluttony, all of which were isolated from Veronica's body. Each container has a corresponding desire. Although it is not the devil himself, people will fall into the vortex of desire at a glance and become slaves of desire from then on, but the 6 containers appear together, and the influence cannot be underestimated. Any slight influence will cause fatal interference to the magician's thinking. Wayne was very curious. He did not block anything for Austin, and the latter was still strong, which was too suspicious. The magic power consumed by continuous card drawing and the mental strength of controlling 7 knights at the same time are far beyond the limit of the silver wizard. Austin ignored Wayne's suspicious gaze and played with the ancient silver coin in his hand. As a senior official of the Ministry of Magic, he naturally has secrets. Similarly, as the head of the family, he does not need to explain anything to Wayne. On the contrary, Wayne should explain to him. "Looking at your appearance, you should be Mr. Gain who attacked Windsor Castle. I am very surprised that you did not follow the orders of your master, the Knight Tyrant, and why did you obey the assignment of the senior officials of the Ministry of Magic? Who is that person and why should he obey his orders?" Austin looked at Gain, his eyes gleaming. "If I'm not mistaken, you've been controlled by someone." Gain frowned. "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm very clear-headed. I'll only be loyal to the great lord of the night in my life." The next second, he changed his words at the speed of light. "Austin, the ancient silver coin in your hand is very particular. It is said to be related to the goddess of death. Can you lend it to me to have a look? I promise that as long as you hand over the ancient silver coin, no one will hurt your wife and daughter." Goddess of death? Ancient silver coin? Wayne stared at the ancient silver coin in Austin's hand. Last night, he lost and recovered the ancient silver coin belonging to the Death Knight. It's very ordinary, just like Plank's ancient silver coin. It's a token of the high-level officials of the Ministry of Magic. Its function is to open the gray space and plunder the 4 elements. Let's just say it's a salary. The royal family took out the 4 elements in the gray space to tie up the high-level officials of the Ministry of Magic who lack morality and have questionable faith. Wayne speculated that Austin's ancient silver coin was gone, and this one was the Queen's compensation, so he got the ancient silver coin that was really related to death last night, but he just didn't see it. Thinking of this, Wayne studied the 2 ancient silver coins buried in his chest, and the result was the same as last night, and he didn't see any clues. It shouldn't be. Wayne believed that he was not wrong. The big eyes of the Book of Greed had never made a mistake. If it was linked to faith, it would have cried out long ago. Wayne was full of question marks, suspecting that the devil had heard it from hearsay and wronged Austin. But because it was Austin, the devil was more trustworthy in the worst case, so there was something wrong with the ancient silver coin I got last night. Austin really had an ancient silver coin of the goddess of death, and he was deceived by him last night. Okay, this is how you play. I'll meet you another day and exchange ancient silver coins on the spot. I'm very sorry, this ancient silver coin comes from the royal family and has nothing to do with the goddess of death. I don't know what you are talking about. Bar Book 69 New. Austin played with the ancient silver coin and put it on the head of the Death Knight. The ancient silver coin you want was taken away by the Death Knight last night. The royal family has formed an alliance with the Death Knight, and the price is the ancient silver coin. Wayne. What did he say? Compared with Aston, the devil seems harmless. The mysterious man hiding outside the space secretly said it was a pity that the ancient silver coin was in the hands of the Death Knight, and it was as difficult as ascending to heaven to snatch it. Maybe he could move the lineup in front of him to the cemetery, but it didn't make much sense. He was just curious and didn't really want to get the ancient silver coin. He sent a telepathic message to Gain, controlling him to continue. You disappeared for a while, and during that time your lover took care of many things. I'm very curious, where did you go and what did you get? Is it the ancient silver coin of death? Wayne frowned, stretched out his tentacles, and talked loudly in Veronica's ear. Did you hear that? Good news doesn't go out, but bad news spreads 1,000 miles. The news about Austin and Megan has spread to hell. No, I have to tell the teacher, and you will testify for me then. Veronica also frowned and ignored Wayne. If I remember correctly, a few years ago, the social trash lived in seclusion for a while, and only Megan could see him. Her daughter had to get Megan's permission to see the social trash. It was also during that time that the social trash's office was often infested with messy women, and the social trash was doing something big. What big thing was it? Megan didn't say, and Veronica had guessed something at her age. It was very obscene. Because of disgust, she directly cut off contact with the social scum, and only called him Mr. Landau when they met. After hearing what the devil said today, there may be another hidden story. I am also very curious. After saying so much, who is talking to me? Austin thought it was a difficult situation. He was very sure that the other party was from the Ministry of Magic. He didn't know how much the other party knew about him and how much they suspected him. He knew nothing about the other party, but the other party knew everything about him. The passiveness made Austin disgusted. I am Gain. Gain insisted, and failed to test the depth of Austin. He turned to look at Wayne. What about you, Master Wayne? What secrets are you hiding? Did the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Magic, Orb, really die from the Void Worm? Did you kill him? He is a legendary wizard, who possesses the 3 faith magics of the Life Alliance, masters a lot of divine arts, and has many powerful magic props. What did you do to force him to open the door of truth? Gulp. Veronica swallowed softly. According to the devil, social garbage killed a legendary wizard. Is it true? How long has he been practicing magic? Veronica was deeply suspicious. The devil must have wronged Wayne, but just like the devil wronged Austin, she knew these two people too well. Maybe the devil did not lie. The logic was established, and Veronica found that she did not know them at all. Master Orb died at the Gate of Truth. The Ministry of Magic has personally verified that it was indeed done by the Void Worm. I am a silver wizard, and I am no match for him anyway. Wayne ignored Austin's probing gaze and shrugged. As for why Master Orb opened the Gate of Truth, it may be to show off his life force field. The villain died because of talking too much, just like you now. Gain shook his head and laughed meaningfully, as expected of father and son. They are both tight-lipped, but I don't know, how much do you know about each other? X2. Wayne and Austin frowned together. Such an obvious provocation, I couldn't help it and fell for it. X2. Veronica was flustered, holding Austin's arm, and then grabbed Wayne's tentacles. The two of them were discouraged at the same time and said in unison, "Be careful, don't let me catch you in London." The unanimous threat made Gain laugh, and also made Veronica feel bitter. She was ready to go back and ask Sci-fi how Wayne came here, or what his mother's name was. The mysterious man's thoughts left Gain, and the latter's laughter stopped abruptly. He pressed down with one hand and drove the containers of the 6 Demon Kings to rush forward. Wayne used a tentacle to protect Veronica behind him. Austin stopped acting completely. He was energetic and not tired at all. He took out 7 or 8 playing cards with his backhand, either clubs or diamonds, all big cards like J, Q, K, and summoned one projection after another. Roar, roar, roar XN. For a moment, the dragon roared, the lion flapped its wings and flew, and 7 or 8 magical creatures appeared in front of Wayne. Austin stepped on a giant eagle and took Veronica to the sky. The remaining magical creatures either teamed up with the knights or rushed to the devil's container alone. Without Wayne, he threw the small trash can in the center of the battlefield where demons were dancing wildly, vowing to find out his background. Wayne was not surprised at all, and even felt a little fortunate. If Veronica had not been there, Austin would have shamelessly stood on the side of the devil. His hands turned into long swords, his big eyes swept across the battlefield, and he took a step forward, his pale body stretched out, and he came to the front of the succubus in a flash. Anyway, it's all a fight, so why not pick a pleasing one? Because his body faded, he ignored the joint attack of the 2 knights of nature and darkness, floated on the spot, and chased the giant eagle that Austin was riding. His body is a snake-necked monster bird, which is more like a crow, and his flying speed is extremely fast. In human form, his speed is still exaggerated, and soon the giant eagle has nowhere to escape. Austin secretly thought it was bad luck, and controlled the giant eagle to swoop down, summoning the 2 trump cards of nature and darkness to escort, and rejected Veronica's request to fight. There was chaos in the field, with arrows, sword lights, and spears alternating, colorful and roaring. The weak space could not resist the explosion of many divine powers, and it was broken layer by layer and collapsed again and again. Wayne fought against the succubus, ignoring the opponent's greatest reliance, that is, beauty, and his moves were fatal, and every swing of the knife was aimed at the neck. If you choose the right one, the magnificent battle is very pleasing to the eyes. If you change to a big fly, it will definitely not be such a good experience. Swish. The sharp blades crossed and cut the succubus in half at the waist. The latter's afterimage dissipated, and it teleported behind Wayne, offering a whip kick to recruit the Death Knight, and split his thighs against the back of Wayne's head. The whip kick pulled away the pink afterimage, carrying a roaring and whistling sound of breaking through the air. At the same time, the scorpion tail poison hook extended and went around, heading straight for the big eyeball on Wayne's chest. Wayne did not defend himself and let his head be kicked by the succubus. 2 long swords went around and blocked the space for the succubus to leave. 4 tentacles stretched out and tightly wrapped around the opponent's feet. Got you. X2. The poison hook pierced through the big eyeball on Wayne's chest, and the venom erupted in an instant, melting the pale half of the body. From the chest down, the abdomen and legs were all corroded by the venom. The composition of the toxin is unknown, and the destructive power is amazing. It is not just a neurotoxin targeting the flesh, but also has a certain impact on Wayne's thinking. His body stagnated, and the upper half of his body was carried into the air by the succubus. The next second, the world in the eyes of the succubus was spinning, and his legs were locked by the tentacles and could not be separated. The afterimage rotated and fell heavily to the ground. Boom! The impact crater was deeply sunken, and large pieces of dust were scattered along the cracks on the ground. The succubus felt her head buzzing, and just as she was about to resist, she was swung up by the tentacles again. Boom. 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 Half of Wayne's body fell to the ground, white foam squirmed, and the disappeared body was restored as before. The 10 fingers of both hands turned into pale spikes, and 4 tentacles were retracted, waiting for the succubus to commit suicide. 10 spikes pierced the face, chest, and abdomen of the succubus. Without the attack of faith, it was impossible to erase the power of the Lord of Lust in the succubus, and it was impossible to kill it. Austin was watching from the side, and Wayne didn't want to expose too much, so he broke 10 tentacles and buried the white foam in the succubus. Crazy growth. In an instant, the succubus's chest and abdomen bulged high, the 9 orifices were fully opened, and white foam gushed out of the mouth, nose, ears, and eyes. A group of pale trees with twisted spirals rose from the ground, and twisted faces attached to it, telling chaotic and complicated whispers inside. Oh my God, this is too weird. The figures around the melee, at this moment, did not distinguish between enemies and friends, and subconsciously moved away from the surroundings. Only the big fly representing gluttony flew over with a buzzing roar, and its sharp mouthparts tore through the air. At the chest, the twisted hands and feet spread to the left and right, and the spiral mouthparts full of fangs swallowed Wayne. The mysterious man hid in the dark, looking at the pale tree curiously. The power of the void. His evolutionary path is different from everyone else's. Can I understand that orb opened the door of truth, so he failed, then? Why did orb open the door of truth? In his world, he should be a god. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 219. Oh no, Wayne has been swallowed. The giant eagle spread its wings high in the sky. Veronica had an excellent view from above. She was shocked to find that the social scum was swallowed by the big fly. White scales appeared on her arms and face. She jumped down to save him. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. Austin reached out and grabbed the back of Veronica's collar and lifted her back to her original position. A string of question marks floated across Veronica's forehead. She didn't know that Austin was so strong. These two bastards really have secrets. Don't pay attention to him. The big fly is the container of gluttony in the world, not the real lord of gluttony. It's not certain who will eat whom. Austin was calm and unhurried. Seeing his daughter's eagerness to save people, he said sourly, "You and I can still resist the divine power emitted by the container and have not become puppets of desire." It can be seen that his mind has always existed and just pretended to be swallowed. Veronica frowned slightly. Why can his mind ignore the container of the devil and still affect me? Well, and you? The diary was not read in vain. Veronica believed that Wayne would protect herself, but she didn't believe it when it came to protecting Austin. Wayne did not protect Austin, who relied on his own ability to resist the temptation of the devil's container. Somehow, Veronica had an illusion that any one of the 2 generations of social garbage could solve the devil below. Because they were on guard against each other and didn't want to reveal their own cards before the other party revealed their cards, they were chased and beaten by the devil. 1 + 1 = 0. As expected of a man from the Landau family, he is not reliable at all. Austin knows Healy very well, and he knows Veronica very well. Seeing her expression, he speaks for the little trash can against his conscience. I didn't test Wayne, and he didn't test me. I don't want to go all out because there is an enemy hidden in the dark. Compared with the devil, this person knows the Landau family better, which is more dangerous. The trump card cannot be revealed. The unknown makes people afraid. It is no longer a trump card without deterrence. Austin feels that his trump card is stronger than Wayne, so he has been waiting for the other party to take the initiative. In addition, his trump card cannot be revealed. Once it is revealed, this family will basically fall apart. Veronica looks resentful. You are so similar, is he really not your son? Impossible, rumor. Austin wanted to refuse, but halfway through his words, he changed his face with a serious face. Veronica, since you have seen it, I will no longer hide it. Yes, Wayne Landau is your half-brother. Liar. Veronica punched Austin in the face with great force and twisted it. Austin covered his nose, feeling helpless as his plan failed. It was obvious that the pit was too deep and his daughter could not be saved. Below, the projections summoned by Austin performed their duties, and two teams suppressed the container of the Demon King. The two trump cards, the Natural Knight and the Dark Knight, were much stronger than the other knights, especially the Natural Knight, who was strong enough to fight the familiar Gain. The Natural Knight did not have the realm of a legendary wizard and could not use the life force field. The familiar Gain was the same. His power came from the gift of his master, the Lord of the Night. His strength was comparable to that of a legendary wizard. Even if he was dragged into the life force field by a legendary wizard, he could maintain a 50-50 split. They were not orthodox evolutionary routes. One was a magical creation, and the other was probably the same. The same was true for the Demon King container in the field. There were all kinds of fancy tricks, and there was not a single normal person. The mysterious man was quite annoyed hiding in the dark, struggling whether to show up and force Austin and Wayne to show their cards. After a moment of hesitation, he chose to give up. What if these two trump cards are too big for him to handle? Just as he was thinking, the mysterious man noticed something strange in the surrounding space, shook his head and sighed, and summoned Gain to retreat. The Demon King container and the Void Egg are disposable tools, and they are gone once they are gone. Gain is different. Such an excellent tool demon must be used repeatedly until it is broken to maximize its value. Roar, roar, roar. Gain flapped his wings and flew high, his body became transparent and virtual, avoiding the pursuit of the Natural Knight. He flapped his wings continuously to increase his speed to the limit and rushed to the edge of the inverted pentagram hell world. Austin narrowed his eyes slightly, and a black light flashed in his eyes. At the edge of the world, the Dark Knight walked out of the shadows, and the black cloak led to the boundless darkness, forcibly transforming the surrounding space into his own domain. Gain's translucent strange bird body hit the boundless darkness, and he felt the reality here. No, it was a more illusory existence than him. Countless black chains came from all directions, locking the snake-necked wings. No matter how Gain rushed, he could not escape from this space. The mysterious man thought it was tricky. Austin's two trump cards were one for attack and one for defense. The Natural Knight had amazing combat power, and the Dark Knight had invincible defense. If he didn't take action, the excellent employee would be lost. Fortunately, the problem was not big, and he was not unprepared. The Book of Hell sewn into Gain's body slowly opened, triggering the 7 deadly sins written in advance, and at the cost of consuming vitality, it gave Gain a powerful buff. Second stage transformation. Gain wailed, and a pair of black wings grew out of his back again, and 2 more snake-necked bird heads stretched out. The hell bird evolved from the perfect form to the ultimate form. As he flapped his wings and flew high, the chains wrapped around his body were violently torn apart. The Dark Knight stood firm, raised his hands, and rolled up the endless darkness to pounce on the bird. Gai Yin didn't want to stay for long. Speed was his advantage. He flapped his wings and returned to the center of the battlefield, then changed direction to attack the space barrier. Just as Austin was about to make a move, the big fly, the container of the Lord of Gluttony, suddenly blocked Gain's way. Since swallowing Wayne, it has been running around like a headless fly. Seeing that the enemy was about to escape, it finally found its head. Roar, roar, roar. Gain roared, accompanied by a black storm, and the wingspan of the 4 wings reached an astonishing 400 meters. The moment of contact, it directly bounced the big fly away. Seeing that the strange bird could not be stopped, the pale tree below began to wriggle. The spirally twisted branches and trunks shrank, and time seemed to flow backwards, returning along the original path of the succubus's 9 orifices. The latter's chest and abdomen bulged high, as if she was about to give birth. Her eyes turned white, and she looked up at the shadow in the sky. Her mouth suddenly opened, and a pair of white big hands stretched out, and the faceless man stretched out his upper and lower jaws and drilled out. The big eyeballs locked onto the target, and the white foam expanded wildly. After the faceless man became huge, he turned into a sharp sword and pierced the sky. The sword was as powerful as a bamboo, hitting the chest of the 4-winged monster bird, ignoring the powerful defense of the metal wings, and piercing through the chest and abdomen for 100 meters before stopping. Looking from a distance, the succubus knelt on the ground, leaning back, with her hands hanging on the ground as a support point, spewing out a white sword that was extremely inconsistent with her body size. At this time, her abdomen was flat, her tight flaming red lips were deformed, her charming facial features were twisted, and her tendons and veins under her skin were intertwined and protruding, and she was no longer beautiful. The monster bird flapped its 4 wings, as if it was nailed by an arrow, screaming and unable to escape. Just when his body was virtual and transparent, a big fly flew over, opened its spiral mouthparts in the chest, and spewed out a sharp sword with white foam, piercing through the body of the monster bird, giving him a second heavy blow. The 2 swords crossed up and down, and the white foam squirmed at the penetration point, pouring into the blood vessels of the monster bird like liquid, contaminating the flesh and blood, and the radiation range was getting larger and larger. Low-level evolution cannot affect high-level evolution. On the contrary, high-level life can pollute low-level life. Wayne polluted Philomena and summed up his experience to develop a new means of attack. It cannot be called an attack. He would rather call it a blessing to give the other party evolution. As for whether the other party can bear it or not, it is none of his business. Roar, roar, roar. Gaines' wailing gradually became weaker, and the 2 penetrating wounds were replaced by white foam. The white rotten sores on the outside were not noticeable. Compared with his huge body, they were at best needlework. The inside was different. The white foam devoured, assimilated, and multiplied. The flesh and blood cells of cancerous Gain gradually took over this body. From Gain's virtual and translucent body, it can be seen that the middle area cannot be virtualized. Not only is it not controlled by his mind and will, but it also imprisons him in place like a shackle. The mysterious man sensed the changes in Gain's body, froze for a while, and then ecstatically, swallowing his saliva at Wayne as if he had discovered a new continent. Advanced research materials. No, top research material. Although he believed in the Lord of Pride, he did not mind studying the top void life. If the material was correct, he found the real cause of Orb's death. Orb wanted to get Wayne, but because he did not know Wayne's true form, he underestimated the enemy and was contaminated. He lost his mind and opened the door of truth, and was swallowed by the passing void worm. In this way, the doubts about Orb's death can be explained. Wonderful. The mysterious man was pleasantly surprised. With a new love, he instantly forgot about the excellent employees who worked hard and never complained, stimulated the formula in the Book of Hell, and completely liberated the 7 deadly sins. The black storm rolled up and spread from the position of Gain's heart. The strong wind crushed Gain's body, and then connected to the sky and the ground, crushing the succubus directly below, and strangled Gain's cancerous white foam body together. A ball of white foam was thrown away by the black tornado, and after landing, it squirmed and turned into a big eyeball tentacle. The Book of Greed poked its head and smelled the aroma of food. Wayne refused to obey and avoided the terrifying suction. The black storm was extremely strange. The nearest big fly had been crushed. His white foam thoughts hidden in Gain, the succubus, and the fly were disconnected and lost contact. If he rushed in rashly, he would probably be crushed into pieces. It looked familiar. Wayne felt that he had seen the scene somewhere. The boss was about to start the three-stage transformation. Just when he was curious, the containers of the demon kings of jealousy, rage, laziness, and greed were out of control and struggled to escape. After a useless effort, they were swallowed by the black tornado. The black vortex shrank, stripping off all the symbols of the demon kings of hell, and forming a new body in the darkness. A 3-meter-tall white faceless man, the upper half of his face was covered by a black mask, with long arms and legs, slender limbs and no muscles, vertical lines cracked in the chest and abdomen, black mud slowly flowed, and 6 sinful faces rose and fell. Behind him, 4 thick tentacles swung in disorder. Wayne's eyes widened, remembering that the last time he encountered such a weird thing was in the Snow family. Unable to resist the attribute restraint, Mona was burned to ashes with the holy spear of heaven. After the monster died, a book of hell evil fell and was taken away by a mysterious man in a suit. According to Mona, the man was in London. Good news, the mastermind behind the attack on Lando Manor was found. Bad news, I don't know who it is. Wayne was sharp-eyed and found that the white monster was different from the last time. There were fewer faces representing sins. This could explain the lack of fusion materials and the lack of the container of the Lord of Pride in the world. But what about the 4 tentacles? It seems that hell is not popular with this. Add his flesh and blood. This is plagiarism. Asshole, have you paid the copyright fee? Wayne was furious, raised his hand and gave a middle finger, and then was chased by the faceless man. In the sky, Veronica urged Austin to save people. Day by day, they only know internal fighting. Wayne is indeed social garbage, but he is the heir of the family. Of course, Veronica only thought about these words in her heart. She was thin-skinned. It would be better to kill her than to let her speak. So, she punched Austin in the face continuously, indicating that she was very anxious. Because his daughter didn't speak, Austin didn't save people. With a punch on the face, he spit out blood with a wow. Under Veronica's frantic gaze, Austin rolled his eyes and fell down, holding the ancient silver coin tightly, and the playing cards were scattered everywhere. Exhausted. He fought to the last moment, but he couldn't hold on. Because Austin's mind was exhausted and his magic power was exhausted at the same time, the poker summons disappeared together. In the huge space, the Demon King container disappeared, the inverted pentagram dissipated, and the hell projection dissipated with it, and the scene returned to the original Lando Manor lawn. On the lawn, the white faceless monster chased Wayne everywhere. Veronica scratched her hair in a bun and punched Austin in the face. She didn't believe that Austin was unconscious, and she didn't believe that Wayne had no chance to fight back. The two guys are still acting. Assholes, why don't you two go to hell? Veronica was furious, rolled up her sleeves and was about to go up herself. She took a step and was grabbed by the ankle by the unconscious Austin. On the other side, the mysterious man sighed in a low voice. The plan failed halfway and he failed to get Austin's biggest secret. Fortunately, the harvest was also not small. First, the ancient silver coin related to death was taken away by the Death Knight, which was unexpected but reasonable. Secondly, he knew the secret of Wayne killing Orb and got the flesh and blood of the top void life. Although it was a secondary flesh and blood after pollution, it was better than nothing. His perfect hell life project integrated the void life and added new elements to go a step further, which was a pleasant surprise. He raised his hand to the air and took the book of hell in mid-air, holding it in his arms and wiping it with his sleeves. This book of hell was obtained by a mysterious person in an orphanage. It contains the 7 deadly sins, symbolizing the power of hell, and also brings a great belief to the mysterious person. Lord of Pride. After research, the mysterious person learned that there is a hell altar in a corner of London. The great Lord of Pride has already come to the world. Boom. Somewhere in the sky, a heavy object hit, cracks spread everywhere, and airflow danced wildly through the gap. The mysterious person looked at the opposite side, thought it was a pity, and disappeared. Boom! The space exploded, and the white dragon smashed the space glass and broke in. Sci-fi stood on the back of the dragon, half-dragon body, about 2 meters tall, with fine white scales on the surface, and elegant curves, as if wearing a one-piece slim chain mail. Behind him, the long spears and swords forged by the 4 elements were lined up, each with a corpse inserted. The corpse was wearing a black suit, leather shoes, a white shirt, and white gloves. His facial features were blurred. He was made of the flesh and blood of the void egg and was the clone of the mysterious man. Some were pierced through the head, and some were pierced through the chest, arranged neatly. Veronica stared at the dragon knight in amazement. She had known the knight for many years, but where did the dragon come from? It turned out that there were really dragons on the chosen continent. Boom! The dragon swooped down and grabbed the white faceless man chasing Wayne in one bite. Its head was raised, and heat waves surged in its throat. As a high-temperature ray rushed into the sky, the white faceless man was vaporized and scattered with the wind. Wayne's eyes widened. He knew the dragon knight, but what was wrong with the dragon? Remember who said there were no dragons on the chosen continent? Come out and get beaten. As Wayne stared in disbelief, the white dragon shrank and turned into Megan's appearance. Ah! 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 Wayne was too shocked. He never expected that Austin was still a dragon knight. No, Austin was originally a dragon rider. It was unexpected that Austin had ridden a real dragon. When Wayne came to his senses, Megan's mind shaped a black robe and put it on her body. He realized that Megan seemed to be naked just now. It's better not to notice it. After all, she is Austin's lover. To round it off, he has to call her aunt. The giant eagle fell, and Veronica stepped forward in small steps and circled around Megan several times. Sci-fi nailed the body of the clone to the ground, took a few steps forward, and stepped on Austin's face. Asshole, you are still pretending to be dead. Wayne was almost killed. She understands Austin. Sure enough, Austin, who Veronica couldn't wake up no matter what, woke up all of a sudden, and was grabbed by the collar of the 2-meter-tall half-dragon girl and lifted in the air. She said weakly, I didn't pretend to be dead. My mind is almost exhausted. I have tried my best. I don't believe you. Sci-fi threw Austin in the air and helped him fly away with a whip kick. Megan, check if that bastard is dead, if not, pick him up. Okay, ma'am. On the other side, Wayne turned back into human form and pulled a pair of pants from the pile of corpses and put them on. Veronica watched the whole process, trying to get back the loss of being seen naked. Her desire to win has always been good. 2 heads, one black and one gold, came together. Asshole, what secrets are you hiding, and your ugly appearance just now, are you still human? It won't affect fertility. Who asked you that? Veronica was furious, not a word of truth came out of her mouth, and she punched Wayne to fly away. A minute later, Megan returned with 2 trash cans, and Austin flew even farther. Wayne met him halfway and picked him up. Austin lay motionless on the ground, breathing in less than breathing out, and he was about to die. Wayne poked him and said regretfully, his life is in danger, and he is probably hopeless. Now that things have come to this, let's eat first. As he said this, he came to the body of his clone. I know this person. When he was working for the Snow family before, he took the Book of Hell away. He is a native of London. Austin sat up in shock from his dying illness and frowned. He is cultivating the Book of Hell. No, he makes it evolve. Does the Ministry of Magic have such a capable person? No, there is an expert in hell studies. Austin shook his head. He shook his head. He is not a powerful magician, just a silver. He has rich theoretical knowledge, but practical. You are also a silver. Wayne said faintly, in the end, so many demons were defeated by you, and you still have a trump card to show. As he said, Wayne looked at Sci-fi. Teacher, there was a succubus without clothes just now, and Austin's eyes were straight. Huh. Really, Veronica can testify, he swallowed several times, and I can't learn that expression. Bang. Before Austin explained, the afterimage flashed, and the person flew away. Wayne also flew. After he reminded her, Veronica remembered, and Wayne also swallowed several times. Megan started to pick up garbage. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 220. The mysterious man left. The barrier that trapped the Landau Manor ran out of energy and dissipated half an hour later, and the manor returned to its original tranquility. Austin dragged his seriously injured body and contacted the Ministry of Magic as soon as possible, inviting Deputy Minister Yvette to conduct on-site investigation. He did not believe the other legendary wizards. Yvette was very close to the Queen and would not talk nonsense in the report, let alone take the opportunity to frame and create an opportunity to settle accounts. Austin was seriously injured and kept coughing up blood. Even so, he still greeted Yvette firmly, personally took her to inspect the crime scene, and showed the body of the mysterious man's clone. The void egg was exploded by the Dragon Knight, and the remaining body was limited. Sif recovered one, and Austin recovered two. One was recovered by the Landau family, one was recovered by himself, and the rest was given to Yvette to show that the Tulip family was loyal to the royal family. After Yvette arrived, she greeted Sif and exchanged a few words with each other. The official statement is meaningless. Apart from the commercial praise, there is basically nothing left. Apart from the identity of the mistress of the Landau family, Sif is the high priest of the Church of Nature. This identity adds another explanation to the attack tonight. It could be the Landau family that was attacked, or the high priest that was attacked. The specific operation depends on Sif's own wishes. So, Austin received a task to sacrifice his life for the country, appease the high priest of the Church of Nature, and try to meet all the other parties' requirements as much as possible, so as not to let the situation escalate. Yvette, Austin, you have the country behind you, you have no way out. This moment is just like that moment. Windsor has always been able to be a non-human. Time went around and around until the second half of the night. Yvette left the Landau Manor with evidence and asked Austin to go to the Ministry of Magic headquarters tomorrow morning to report to the minister alone. Wayne was being beaten by Veronica, literally slapped in the face. He was taken back to the villa of the eldest lady by Veronica. After the collar, Waldong, and sofa 3 times, Veronica rode on him and interrogated him. Tell me, what secret are you hiding? I can't tell you. The teacher told me that I can't tell you the secret of my proto-bloodline. What is proto-bloodline? Oops, I accidentally said it. Asshole, it must not be this. If you don't tell me today, don't think about leaving this door. Veronica was furious and punched Wayne in the face. The secret of the big trash was taken care of by someone else, and it was not her turn to worry about it. Similarly, she must know the secret of the small trash. This is it. Wayne covered his face and felt very aggrieved. Remember that the teacher drew blood for me? You were there at the time. The blood test report came out a long time ago, but I didn't tell you. Continue. Veronica hesitated slightly and raised her fist without falling. My teacher told me that the proto-bloodline is the first ancestors, born at the beginning of mythology, and is the descendant of God. Every once in a while, the proto-bloodline will awaken, similar to a genetic disease inherited from the previous generation, and the gene recombination returns to the original. Wayne spoke without hesitation. The proto-bloodline has infinite possibilities, it is a natural magician, and every proto-bloodline is a genius. That ugly look is the proto-bloodline. No, The proto-bloodline is no different from ordinary people, but I chose another path on the branch of evolution. Remember the ancient god of Dragonheart Island? Wayne presented facts and reasoned, fooling Veronica, I am so lucky that I didn't go crazy because of imitating the ancient god. Instead, I learned some of the ancient god's appearance. You can say that my evolutionary direction is ugly, but you must be in awe of it. To put it bluntly, my evolution is far above your dragon blood. As he said, Wayne turned up his nose. Bang. I don't believe it. You can't be more powerful than a dragon. The weirder you look, the faster you die. Pa, the greater your potential. Did you see the containers of the 7 demon kings? None of them look like humans. Wayne was afraid that Veronica would not be able to sit steadily, so he held her legs. Congratulations, you picked up a treasure that night. The next generation of the Landau family has excellent qualifications. Veronica frowned, still unbelieving, but you were chased by the monster, but Megan killed the monster in one go. How do you explain this? I'm still a child. Wayne shrugged, and a hint of depression flashed in his eyes when he said this. The monster did not drop the core after its death, that is, the Book of Hell. It is conceivable that the mysterious man ran away in advance and took the Book of Hell away. From this inference, the mysterious man is probably not Megan's opponent, and the night teacher knows that he can't win, so he quits while he can. Looking at the mysterious man's tactics of encirclement and division, and deliberately kicking the Dragon Knight combination out of the group chat, it can be seen that he knows the Landau family very well, and is afraid of Austin's trump card, so he is reluctant to show up. In other words, in the eyes of the mysterious man, Austin, who has been protected by Megan, has a power more terrifying than the dragon. No wonder Lao Deng is so arrogant and has not been beaten to death. He has the confidence to be arrogant. Wayne is very envious. Austin is not only a dragon knight, but also a knight of the Dragon Knight, and the knight and the dragon look almost exactly the same. Why does Austin take all the good things? God is really blind. When will an honest man like him stand up? Speak up, what bad tricks are you thinking of? I'm thinking about Austin. This guy has a big secret, so big that the mysterious man would rather sacrifice the Demon King's container, the void egg and a fully descended familiar to get a glimpse of it. Don't you have a secret too? I'm different. My secret has been exposed, but Austin hasn't. Wayne sighed worriedly, as the heir of the family, I feel uneasy when I think that there is a time bomb buried in my home that can blow up the Landau Manor at any time. Veronica slapped the hand that stretched to her chest and sneered, don't pretend to be a good person. He is not a good thing, and neither are you. You both have secrets. Wayne snorted, you'd better not wrongly accuse a good person without any evidence. What kind of good person are you? You're a pervert. You clearly defended against the temptation of the succubus, but you still swallowed your saliva. That's out of respect. Beauty is beauty. Besides, I helped you block the temptation of the succubus, and you also swallowed your saliva, Wayne whispered, and was punched as a matter of course. Veronica punched to hide her embarrassment. She had to admit that the succubus was indeed beautiful. Thinking about it now still made her mouth dry. She really wanted to lock the succubus in the basement, and then... boom! There was a loud noise. Veronica jumped off Wayne and quickly came to the window to watch the human cannonball. Wayne followed closely behind and stood by the window together and laughed foolishly. Humph, dirty fireworks, or a dud. Le.jpg. Wayne laughed and couldn't laugh anymore. He noticed that Veronica's eyes were not good, and hurriedly said, Veronica, the teacher has many advantages, gentle, kind, and compassionate. You are her daughter, you should learn well instead of learning everything. Besides, I was almost exhausted in order to protect you before, and I can't get hurt again. Veronica, say, you can't bear it? The effect was average. Wayne met Austin in the grove. The two social scums combed their hair back and regained their sanctimonious and glamorous image. One said nothing, and the other played with the ancient silver coin without saying a word. Wayne, what secrets are you hiding? Austin, what secrets are you hiding? X2. Austin snorted coldly, and when Megan arrived with the medical kit, he asked the other party to set up a soundproof barrier. Don't isolate it yet. Wayne greeted him with a smile and expressed his respect to the dragon. Because he was an elder, he did not ask Chiachien whether he was willing to change jobs. He took the medical kit and tied the bandage on his head first. Okay, it can be isolated. Megan rolled her eyes and waved to set up a soundproof barrier. Wayne, I know you are hiding a secret. I underestimated you before, but I won't do it in the future. Austin took the lead. Aren't you the same? It's different. I'm the head of the family. I must understand my heir. Austin insisted, I didn't care about your secrets before because those secrets were light or heavy. Now it's different. Your secrets have attracted too much attention and have caused huge hidden dangers to the safety of the family. Aren't you the same? Austin said nothing with a dark face, just playing with the ancient silver coin in his hand. Wayne looked at the ancient silver coin and said weakly, if you don't say it, I won't say it. We will definitely test each other in the future. In the internal struggle, it will only consume the resources of the Landau family and deepen our misunderstandings, making the already precarious relationship between father and son, ugh, and son-in-law worse. So what? Is there a possibility that we exchange secrets and confess ourselves to each other? Outside the barrier, Megan secretly pricked up her ears. Okay, but you have to say it first. No, you must say it first. I don't trust you. Isn't it the same for me? X2. At this point, there is basically nothing to talk about. Both Austin and Wayne were willing to give each other another chance. The latter said directly to the outside of the barrier, Megan, go to the study to get paper and pen. Under Austin's speechless gaze, Megan left quickly. Why did you leave? Is it time for you to leave now? Ha ha ha. After Megan left, Wayne's mouth curled up and he smiled very proudly. Sure enough, the soundproof barrier can't stop Megan, it has never been able to, and this time is no exception. You are guarding against the teacher. Megan knows your biggest secret, but the teacher doesn't know. Austin's body stagnated and he held the ancient silver coin tightly. Wayne chuckled, don't worry, I'm here to join this family, not to break it up. I won't say anything more in front of the teacher, and you too. In exchange, don't say bad things about me in front of Veronica. Austin felt relieved and gritted his teeth and said, you said a lot of bad things about me today. You too. Besides, those are not bad things I said, they are the truth. You and Megan are too close. If you hadn't slept with her, you wouldn't trust her without reservation. Poor teacher, you are still in the dark now. Wayne was angry, no, jealous. Austin didn't say anything, but smiled meaningfully, revealing the face of a successful person. Because it was Lao Deng, Wayne couldn't tell anything from this face. He couldn't bear to see the other party's complacency, so he snorted coldly, I will continue to investigate your betrayal of the teacher. Don't let me get evidence, otherwise I will definitely tell the teacher. What about you? You are outside behind Veronica's back. Swish. Wayne took out the receipt from his arms. Austin, benefit. Careless. Austin also frowned, you have taken down your secretary a long time ago. Mona has always been your undercover. The letter is just an excuse. Wait a minute, where is the high priest of the Moonlight Church? She and you are the same, what's the relationship? Wayne didn't say anything, but smiled meaningfully, showing the face of a successful man. Because it was him, Austin decisively came to his senses, you used your thoughts to pollute their will, making them betray their faith and obey you. Don't talk nonsense, their beliefs have never changed. Wayne complained and corrected, at least Mona's faith has remained unchanged. It's hard to say that Philomena is no longer a pure elf. From a religious perspective, she unknowingly blasphemed the moonlight goddess and was a blasphemer. Austin doesn't believe it. Maybe Wayne can't do it now, but in the future. He warned, don't mess with Veronica. Don't worry, in this home, I will only mess with you. X2. After a while, Megan brought a pen and paper. The two social wastes glared at each other and scribbled down their hidden secrets on the paper. Wayne didn't write the Death Knight, and the blame fell on the Dark Knight. He knew himself too well, and he looked at Alston as if he were looking in a mirror, and he wouldn't tell the truth the first time. Therefore, this exchange of identities can only be regarded as eliminating wrong answers. Austin put the blame on the Death Knight whom he hated the most. It had nothing to do with the foot. He just hated him, no reason was needed. The two of them folded the paper while looking at each other, and then simultaneously stopped their hands while being wary of each other, and turned around to open the paper. Boom! There was a thunder on the ground, and it exploded in the hearts of both of them at the same time, and they remained motionless for a long time. Megan. What on earth is it? You guys are so anxious just talking. Wayne looked at the word Death Knight on the paper and felt his world spin. Austin had guessed his identity. It only took one meeting, and he knew that the Death Knight was him with just one kick. Therefore, Austin clearly had a trump card that night, but refused to show it, and refused to let Megan transform into a dragon, just because he discovered that the Death Knight was him. That trembling body can also be explained. Austin was holding back his anger and was so angry that he was sweating profusely. Wayne couldn't figure out why he was exposed. After thinking about it, maybe it was because the villain talked too much, and he was not idle that night, which was seriously inconsistent with the cold style of the Death Knight. Damn it, if you talk too much, you will make mistakes. If I had known better then, I wouldn't have said anything. After a moment, Wayne turned around, lit a flame in his hand, and burned the paper into ashes. The strong wind swept through it, leaving no trace behind. Austin did the same thing. Both of them had heavy hearts and expressionless faces, as if they were visiting a grave. They just looked at each other without saying a word. Megan is almost dying of anxiety. What are you afraid of? There is a soundproof barrier, so you can just talk. Wayne, you can't be the Dark Knight. Austin, you can't be a Death Knight. X2. The two spoke expressionlessly, trying to capture the subtle changes in each other's expressions, but found nothing. Wayne, the Dark Knight has appeared in London a long time ago. At that time, you were still receiving training from me 6, and then you were sent to Frank, so you are not the Dark Knight, Alston said lightly. You also lied. According to my secret investigation, the Death Knight appeared at the same time as you. It may be explained by magic, but I am more inclined to believe that you are lying to me. Wayne believed 80% of it, but he still had some luck. He snorted coldly, that's it for today. Since you don't want to tell the truth, let's wait and see. For the sake of the family, I will personally dig out the secrets in you. Me too. Wayne stepped away from the sound barrier, at first with hands and feet, then faster and faster, faster and faster. Austin stood there with a dark face, and the hand holding the ancient silver coin trembled slightly. Sci-fi, Veronica, you have such good eyesight, this guy's mind, but, it's impossible, there is no reason. Master. Megan walked into the soundproof barrier with a faint gaze. What's written on the note? Dark Night. Goodoo. Megan's eyes widened and she swallowed in disbelief. Why did the young master write this? He is not the Dark Knight. I still underestimate him. Austin's face was complicated, but I'm very happy to be the heir. Give me some time, I'm afraid I'm going to have to show off my cards to him. Is it suitable? Siffy and Veronica are willing to trust him, I have no choice, and, this power will have to be given to him sooner or later. Megan looked at Austin with a complicated expression, couldn't bear it for a moment, and held his hand. It doesn't matter, I won't give it to him for the time being. Even if I give it to him, I have prepared a new body. As long as Sci-fi is gentler, I won't die. Austin shook his head and broke away from Megan's hand. Bang bang bang. Veronica, please open the door. Asshole, how do you open the door now? Get out of here. The eldest lady's villa, bedroom. Wayne stood at the bathroom door and hammered the door. Hearing rustling sounds inside, he confirmed that Veronica was dressed, snapped the door lock, and rushed in. Veronica was wrapped in a bath towel and was wiping her long hair. When she saw the social garbage that dared to come in, she raised her hand and punched her. Didn't fight. Why do you look so bad? I was exposed. Ah, what's exposed? Wayne didn't say anything, hugged Veronica, and leaned on her chest. No waves were made, and he kept buzzing, I just confronted Austin. That social scum is too scary. He seems to have the ability to read minds and knows everything. He guessed it even though we only met once. So, what is the secret? Veronica pushed Wayne away, very curious. I can't say it, otherwise this family will fall apart. Wayne's face was full of helplessness. How can I say it, teacher / Veronica, your student / fiancé is a death knight in the enemy camp. Not good. Wayne thought that this secret would not be exposed and would be kept secret, but he underestimated Austin's observation ability and his shrewd mind. On second thought, if Austin was like him, he would definitely guess something if he had close contact with him. It's reasonable, and it's a problem if you can't guess it. But now, what should he do? What should he do in the future? He is not ready yet. Wayne was flustered. Veronica saw this, suppressed her curiosity, gave him a warm hug, and comforted him. It's okay, mother likes you very much, no matter what secrets you hide, she will not hate you. What about you? Of course I listen to mother. Just like that. Seeing Veronica blushing with entanglement, Wayne's heartbeat accelerated. Without thinking much, he lowered his head and kissed her. Soft, a little sweet. How could you do this? Veronica widened her eyes, whimpered twice and hurriedly stopped the sound, wanting to kill the social trash, but found that she could not muster any strength, unconsciously closed her eyes, intoxicated by the social trash's superb kissing skills. After a while, she regained her sanity and punched the social trash in the face. Asshole, who told you to touch me? Veronica picked up the bath towel and put it on again, blushing and pushing Wayne out of the door. She squatted with her back against the door and buried her red face in her knees. If you know, you know. You are the heir of the family. Mother and have recognized you. Mr. Landau has no right to refute. He is nothing at home. You can just admit it and let him confess the secret. This. Wayne winked and had to admit that what Veronica said made no sense. Old Deng seemed to have no status in the family, but that was because he cared. When it came to the critical moment, he still had the final say. Remember to come back and tell me, I want to know too. Wayne stood outside the door. Maybe Veronica was right. His secret had been exposed. Why not take this opportunity to try out Austin's secret? It seems that it is necessary to let the Death Knight and Austin talk alone. Showdown, no more acting.